As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Wednesday, September 4th. Hey, we're there right now. Hey, we're into closer to the Lions-Rams. We have updates. We have the Doc joining the show today as well. You guys know what day it is. It's Wednesday. Doc joins us every Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Fellas, game week, day closer. What's the vibes like? Well, how are we feeling?
Feel good. Feel great. Lions play. What is today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 days. And if you guys didn't know this, in less than 24 hours, the NFL season officially kicks off with the Ravens Chiefs tomorrow night. While we're going to be live, but we're going to be still live. But football is back, full go here. I've been seeing a lot of things too around the media. I've been seeing a lot of narratives that are starting to shit. You know, this is like the week of like predictions, awards, and we're going to be doing all of that too. But I'm starting to, as we get into the week and when national media starts picking their winners for MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, this, that, I'm starting to see a lot of Detroit Lions. I'm starting to see a lot of Nate Hutchinson, and I'm starting to see a lot of Jared Goff in MVP conversations. Way more than I thought I was going to be the only one going into this season, even a touch of Jared Goff in the conversation. Lots of people are talking about it. Lots of people.
Don't leave out that Jahmyr Gibbs Offensive Player of the Year either, Boom. Don't leave it out.
But I was just going through my narratives.
No,
that's
cool. But, I mean, just to kind of what Booner's saying, like, football is in less than 24 hours, and you just keep seeing all the narratives, and it seems like everything, you're starting to get an actual clear picture, at least for week one, of what the NFL is going to look like. And just looking at the matchups week one, I think there's a lot of intriguing matchups. Usually week one, there's kind of some games here or there that you're excited for. But if you look at just through Thursday, Friday, and Sunday slates, there's so many good games. And I think you're going to get a lot of, at least beginning of the half, questions answered week one just because of the level of competition some of these teams are stacking up against. Like, there's multiple games like the Lions and Rams. Like, you look Friday night, Eagles, Packers, that's a game. Ravens, Chiefs, like Booner brought up, a lot of divisional games as well. So it's going to be an interesting week one.
I mean, boys, are we going to just skip past Dan Campbell? Because he said some quotes today. One of those quotes. Hey, Boone, I know you heard that quote.
I heard them all.
Said, he said, this Rams team now better than last year. So, and that's Dan. He did say that. Now, didn't really mention the offensive line. I think he mentioned a little bit. But you know what I didn't even think about that Dan also addressed? Jonah Jackson being there with the offensive, like him having the offensive playbook already down, but they tweak a bunch of things. So it's not really going to matter too much. But that's one thing I never really thought about. I don't know why. I mean, you think of it with quarterbacks, but of course a guard. I mean, of course the run game and stuff like that. But I doubt it. Like Dan said, once they get it out there and it's war, no one's thinking about the playbook.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So the thing that happened with it too, and today's Dan had two good appearances. He has the 97-1 appearance, and he had the Detroit Lions, press conference, which both of them were unbelievable. To that point, Jeff, like the Jonah Jackson stuff, like, he's going to be able to help them prepare. But they just played each other 2 games ago, essentially. Like, obviously, there's a whole offseason. They know, like, what the Detroit Lions do, what the offense is about, what the defense. They know everything. Like, there's probably nothing at this point that Jonah Jackson could tell the Rams that's going to change the game plan or really like ruin something for the Lions. Like, they've probably changed all of their calls this summer. They've probably changed every single, anything they needed to change. It's probably been changed. And essentially, like, just the playbook, Jonah Jackson knows it. The Rams probably already knew it. Like, you're in the NFL now. This isn't Pee Wee football. Like, guys scout, coaches know playbooks, coaches know what other coaches do. And I guarantee you, and Jeff, one thing Dan mentioned today, he was asked about having Ben Johnson and AG and Jared Goff and all these guys together for a 4th year and another year. The positives of that, is that these guys get to go even deeper and deeper and deeper into their bags of the playbook. Like they get to get any more layers and more layers and more layers. Like last year, like, yeah, you're in year 3, but like you're just starting to win last year. You're still like, you're in what, layer 2, layer 3 of your playbook. Like they're another summer. They're in layer 4, layer 5. And like they are engulfed in Ben Johnson's playbook. And Ben Johnson and Jared Goff are hip to hip. Like it, Jonah Jackson can't stop that from his play. Like he can't. You're not stopping Ben Johnson and Jared Goff in year 4. And it's the same thing Dan said on the other side of the ball with Alex Anzalone and AG. He was like, people don't underestimate. You talk about Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. Let's talk about Alex Anzalone and AG being together for 4 years, where Alex Anzalone knows how to. Yeah, he said Alex Anzalone knows exactly what AG is thinking. And I know I'm going on a rant here. I apologize.
You're cooking.
But Dan Campbell mentioned, he said, when I was in New Orleans, Drew Brees and their OC were spot on together. And he said, whoever the linebacker was in New Orleans, he said they would sit there in mini camp.
Jonathan Vilma.
And they would sit there and just change their reads and change their plays at the line, back and forth, pre-snap, because they were both so elite. And he said that's exactly what he's starting to see out of Jared Goff and out of Alex Anzalone in training camp. Like that right there should fire people up. Like for him to give that comparison, like, that is unbelievable. Year 4 with all these guys, like I don't think people realize the step that this team can take. I don't care if Jonah Jack, he can have every play he wants. He can. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Try it.
Jonah ain't gonna save you. That's it.
At the end of the day, I mean, this defense that Jonah Jackson's going to be going up against, I mean, think about just last year, the practice squad and the defensive players that Jonah Jackson was going up against, completely different from the Lions roster this year. And I think that's the case for each team. But when you look at, okay, maybe it's not always a good situation to replace players. Like you look at the Rams, Aaron Donald, for example, a couple guys on that defense that you didn't really want to lose. But then you look at the line, you're like, they kept everybody they wanted to, and they improved at their weaknesses. So it's a completely different look. But I just, Boone, to what you're saying, that's the leg up that Lions have on like the Eagles, teams like that, where it's like you get new OCs like the Dallas Cowboys. So I know people don't think, at least me, I don't look at as a legitimate threat, but some people still think they can make a Super Bowl run. They're not going to be in that same situation. It's just that culture and just why it's another reason why all those graphics where it's like, what are the odds that the Lions are back? It's like very likely, because if you look at the situation, everything's going to keep moving fine compared to there's no shakeups. There was 0 shakeups on this roster besides Jonah Jackson, and you replace him with Kevin Zeitler, who I'm even more confident in.
Hey, do you guys remember when we did the coaching rankings? And the reason we had the Lions at number 2, it was the Chiefs and Lions 1A, 1B essentially. And the reason was because every other coaching staff in the NFL had just mix-ups and change-ups. Like on the radio today, Dan was like, it is literally, or I think it was Jim Costa, it's unbelievable the fact that you guys have been able to keep together a coaching staff for this long with this amount of success. You never see that in the NFL. Never. Like that doesn't happen. The Chiefs are the only ones that have been able to do it, and the Lions have done it. Everyone else, guys leave, guys move. Like it isn't like literally these are the only 2 staffs that I think are returning guys like out of contending teams that are returning the whole staffs. Like the only 2 teams, the Chiefs and the Lions. That's it.
I mean, Lucas, you just mentioned it. The Lions, they have a similar roster. They got better. Dan mentioned that. One player they did sign, probably the biggest acquisition they had this offseason, DJ Reader, who will be ironically going up against Jonah Jackson. Dan Campbell gave an update. He's been out there. Let's hear from Dan about DJ Reader, and then we'll play this clip of that the doc actually got us and is on social media. DJ Reader at practice, but let's listen to Dan first. This is from the Detroit Lions X account. Let's hear from MCDC.
DJ Reader still potentially a chance Sunday, or you guys still think?
Yeah, there's a chance. I would say this week was really what we had circled to give him the bulk of true football. Like this was his first real padded, going against, not just individual and doing some walkthrough. Like, man, he's in team. He's going on. We had him do some team defense, but also run scout team too. Go against Frank and Graham and Zeitler, and just get his confidence up, bang away in there, and really take it day to day. So, yes, there's still a chance. I'll know more probably after tomorrow than I do right now. He's doing well.
Yep. Well, DJ Reader could potentially return If I'm the Lions, I would probably just push him to week 2. That's just to be safe. I just don't want to run. That's a guy that, like, Lucas has said this a million times, and I agree with him. Like, that's a guy you probably want. You don't, not waiting till the end of the season, but he's a guy that you're going to want towards the end of the season. Like, if he has to miss a week to get, even more healthy, then do it. I'm cool with that. Don't rush him back. Not that the Lions will, but I'm not too worried if he plays or not. I think if he doesn't play the Lions, technically, like, guys, even if it's Levi's been getting a lot of love, right? I mean, he should be able to fill in and play well. So
play that man. Let that guy. I get you. If you both think that, I respect your guys' decision. We're playing football. I don't care how old you are. If you're just ready to go, I saw the video of him at practice. This guy's ready to go. If he's ready to go on Sunday, go put some pads on, go out there and play some football. We have grit on our hat. I have a hat over here with grit on it for a reason. Here, like, we're not saving it. You save yourself week 1 so you could play week 18. Like, that's not what's gonna. No, like, maybe you're not gonna get a longer injury. Like, maybe it's gonna hold you out. I don't know. Like, dude, if you're ready, you're ready. Like, if you're ready and you're like, no, I'll just wait till week 2. No, Jeff, you're the one that says this Rams game is the toughest game that there is, and in the first 5 games, so you should be able to go out there and say, hey, we need DJ Reader out there playing football. Give me that man playing football. Let him go out there and make an impact on this game.
The week 1 is not the Super Bowl, all right? It's not. Like, DJ Reader's health is more important than one game.
This is your bad mind. This is the opposite of Dan Campbell mindset. Dan Campbell, you just said Super Bowl. It's not Super Bowl. It's 1 week at a time. This week right now to Dan Campbell, in his mind is the next best game. If you're ready to play football, you're playing football. And if he's ready to go, he said by tomorrow night, he'll know if he's ready to go. I think if there's any chance, like if there's a little bit that Dan's like, we're rolling, let's go. And DJ's like, yep, let's do it. He's a vet. He knows better. Let that man play football. Go out there and contend and go compete.
All right.
Am I off? Am I crazy?
Jeff, I get your logic, but if the Lions feel like DJ Reader's ready to go, then play him. That's my thing. Like, if he's ready to go, he's ready to go. If they're like, all right, maybe not fully ready, then all right, put him week 2 because, again, it is the Los Angeles Rams, but they're about to sneeze. Holy fuck. Fighting it off. The LA Rams' weakness, without a doubt, at least for week 1, is going to be that offensive line. So if they don't feel like he's 100% ready, then all right, let Levi go. But if he's ready to go, I'm with Boone. Just put him in there, let him play because he's going to game wreck, and you can have him on a snap count too. Like, that's ideally, if I could fucking talk, that's what I'd like to see. I wouldn't want to see DJ Reader 100% week 1, but I'd like to see him at least on a rotation with Levi because I do want to see Levi, especially against an offensive line that he could exploit. So
yeah, and that's, I guess it is more so me partially being confident in who they have behind him. Like, I think, and it's also about, like, I think the DJ's age should actually lean more my way, to be honest with you. Like, I think that's a guy that you probably look at and you're like, okay, is he 100%? If he's 80, let's just rest him a week and then he's full go rather than forcing it week 1, something tweaks and now he's out 4 weeks. It's like, that's where I just want to make sure he's good. Like, I get it. Week 1, it's exciting. It's the opening game of the season. And I know Dan's going to be smart. I mean, they're going to make that decision. And then it's going to be the best case for the player. But DJ, like, sometimes the coaches have to protect the player from himself. Like, sometimes players are going to be like, I want to play. And they're like, well, you good? Like, you full goal 100%. Okay. Like, maybe like to Lucas's point, they put him on a snap count. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying keep him out, even if he's ready at 100%. I just want them to be careful. That's all.
That's my thing. If there is still a little linger there and you're like, hey, you're like, there's going to be a caution and there's an opportunity or a chance that if you do play that there is going to be a long-term. No, keep that man off the football field. But again, like, Dan, this morning, when you come out and you say, yeah, he's going 100% at practice over the last week. We've had him playing scout teams so we can get him up against the best of the best with Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler and Graham Glasgow. And then at the same time, he's going double. He's doing scout team and he's playing on the starting. He's playing with the ones at practice for the last week and this week. Like, to me, it's just more so it's like, hey, that sounds like a guy, he's ready. And it has nothing to do with the injury to me at this point. It's just more so like, is he back in football shape? Is he in enough shape? Did he had enough time in this week to get into shape to play in the regular season of the NFL. And he's a vet in the league, so I'm sure he knows how to get ready. That's why I'm confident, and I do think he plays. Now, is it going to be like what last year? I'm looking at his snap count right now. Last year, week 1, 50-something snaps. Week 2, 50-something snaps. And then you keep going down. Like, maybe you just give him 30 snaps this week, and you say, go out there and we'll rotate with Levi. We'll get you back in this thing. Look at that guy. Tell me he's not ready to play football right now. Tell me that man isn't ready to go play some football.
He looks ready, Boone. I'm with you.
Ready.
But I like that. You just want to make sure. I just don't see a way. Like, if Dan's talking about him like that, you'll see him out there at least for a snap or two. Like, I don't think it hurts him whatsoever to be on a rotation. Honestly, coming off a training camp where he really didn't do much, like, if he feels ready to go, like, a snap count is a great way to just implement him back in the game. Because, I mean, that's the whole thing with DJ Reader. We weren't worried about him sitting out because, you know, when week 1, week 2, whenever he returns, he's going to be ready to go because he's seen every look. He's very familiar with a lot of these offensive linemen around the NFL. He's been going up against them for years. He knows what to do and how to make plays. So there's no worry about when DJ Reader comes back, in my opinion.
If there was if that injury was affecting at all to where he couldn't go, he would not be out at practice this week. If there was any chance he could go out there and make it worse, he would not even be at practice. That's why I think it's just more so getting in shape. Like, they want to make sure he's in shape. So if he's in shape, I don't think it's like, hey, we want to be careful with him with the injury. Like, no, I think it's Dan saying, like, we're going to know better tomorrow if he's in football shape and ready to roll. That's how my mind goes with it. Because if there is that little chance, he shouldn't even be practicing. Like, give the man some time to be able to, like, wait till it's fully healed.
And I think part of it, like, you've been seeing DJ do like the one-on-one stuff, right? That's like what he's been doing. Like, that's in even like this comment, Sports Talk at 10. What the fuck are you scared of, Jeff? He hasn't had any action all off season, which is my point, by the way. And they've been working him back with today being the heaviest workload all off season. Yes, that is true. I guess my point, it's not, I love how the comment was directed at me. Like, I'm scared. All I'm saying is if DJ Reader, if you think, hey, one more week, practice, doing team, especially being involved in playing, I don't know, anything besides just simple one-on-ones like he's been doing. Like, he's just been doing those individual drills. Like, if that's enough and they feel like he's ready, then yeah, go do it. I don't care. I just think they can beat the Rams without him. That's really my point. Like, I don't think that not having DJ Reader, it's like, oh, you know, I think they have enough to do it without him. And if he's not 100% healthy, then just sit him a week. If he is, let him go.
Shout out Sports Talk at 10, baby.
But yeah, I don't. We'll see how that. We'll see. Yeah, shout out Sports Talk at 10. We'll see how that story develops as the season, as the week progresses. Another thing that I guess was announced is Iffy had a light practice. Lauren Strickland did not practice, and then DJ Reader again limited practice, but expected probably towards the end of the week. We'll see how that changes. But fellas, you know what today is? We're getting into prediction week. So that's where we give out our predictions. And today we're going to do Detroit Lions awards, right? MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, Sleeper / Breakout, Coach of the Year. Now, obviously not named MCDC, Dan Campbell. And maybe we throw in like a grit player of the year. You know, gritty player of the year. So we'll start with MVP. Who do you think will be the Lions, Detroit Lions MVP when the season ends?
I mean, I know you hear the chant. Boone, you take it first. You go first, Boone.
I mean, I think this is an obvious answer. And then if you have a different answer than this, because this guy, he's not going to be the MVP of the Detroit Lions. This is a guy who around the NFL right now, I watched 3 or 4 different national shows today. On every single one, I heard Jared Goff's name mentioned within the MVP conversation. This is a guy who's going to take over the NFL, not literally when it comes like a Patrick Mahomes type takeover, but he is going to take over the NFL in the sense of this guy plays 17 football games, 14 of them are indoors. He plays his best football inside of a dome. And the only bad games he has in his career or the last couple years of the Lions has been outdoor football games, essentially. So this guy has played 14 games indoors. Jared Goff, is going to go into this season. And guys, you guys laughed at me months ago. The chat laughed at me. People laughed at me when I did my bold prediction. He's going to be a finals for MVP. This guy's going to have a legit shot of winning NFL MVP this year. He was top 5 in passing yards, touchdowns, QBR. Anything you can think of with quarterbacks last year, he was top 5. And he's only going into a situation this year that was better than last year with Jamison Williams, an I'm not going to say star, but an up-and-coming player in the NFL that everyone's saying is a breakout year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Klotz, one of the best running backs in the entire NFL right now. Sam Laporta, a top 3 tight end. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a top 5 wide receiver. You had the best offensive line in front of you. You have David Montgomery, a top 15 running back that's backing up your top 5 running back. This guy has the best situation out of any quarterback in the entire NFL. If they go out there and win 13 games, and I feel like I'm repeating myself because I said this 2 months ago, and now everyone's starting to talk about it. If he goes out there and wins 13 games and they get the 1 seed in the NFC, Jared Goff will win the MVP. He will go out there and win MVP. They will have no choice. You go 13-4 and you're the best team in the NFL. The NFL and the AP writers have zero choice but to write your name down. And you throw for 5,000 yards and 35 plus touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Zero choice. You have to give him MVP if he goes out there and does that. I don't care about narratives. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes. I don't care about flashy plays. I don't care about rushing touchdowns. This man will be on the best team in football, leading them from the helm, and will have the stats to back it up. Give that man MVP. He's the Detroit Lions MVP. He'll be the NFL MVP.
Boone, I love what you were preaching about Goff, but I just disagree. I think everything you were saying about Jared Goff being valuable, how good he is for this team, is absolutely true. But there's one man in particular who keeps that man clean. And if you're asking me, when I think of the Detroit Lions, who do I think of? I think of Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is the MVP of this team, in my opinion. I think it's a very similar situation where you look in San Francisco, like Brock Purdy, good quarterback. If you want to debate he's better or worse than Goff, whatever you want to do, I think they're in the same tier. You lose Trent Williams, Brock Purdy is now not the same player. You lose Penei Sewell, Jared Goff is not the same player. Penei Sewell relies on Penei Sewell. Jared Goff, again, a lot of the stuff, obviously, throws he's got to make, he has to do himself, but he's surrounded by a lot of weapons. I think I think all Lions fans think this Lions offense, the foundation of it is Penei Sewell, and the strength of this team is the offense. So when you look at who's the best overall player on this team, who's the guy who sets the culture, who's the guy that sets the run game and the pass game, in my opinion, my MVP without a doubt is Penei Sewell. But I don't hate the Goff take, but Penei Sewell, in my opinion, keeps that man clean. Jared Goff does not put up those numbers this year. If you could take Amon-Ra St. Brown off the field, I think that's less of an impact to Jared Goff than if you were to take Penei Sewell off the field. Penei Sewell is the guy, in my opinion.
And this is tough. Like, I wish I could give the MVP award to the whole offensive line, but it's not how that works. If we're going most valuable player in Penei Sewell, I like the pick because he's the best, one of the best players in the league, to be honest with you.
Top
but
five.
MVP, most valuable player, I'm going to go with the guy that touches the football every single play on offense. I'm going to go with Jared Goff too. I think that's a great pick because the season is either going to live or die with Jared Goff. It just is. Like, Penei he can be the best offensive tackle this year. And if Jared Goff struggles, they're screwed. So that's why I think most valuable player. I know picking a quarterback, it's pretty obvious. But you're right, Booner. It would be, in my opinion, it would be Jared Goff. Absolutely. Like, that dude touches the football. If he makes a mistake, they're going to ride or die with Jared. If Jared has an MVP season, they could have the number 1 seed. If he struggles significantly, they can have 9 wins. So I'm going to go with Jared Goff as well. He's going to be the MVP. I think he does play very well, and I think the Lions are very, very good this year, obviously challenging for the number 1 seed, and I think they do that with Jared playing effectively and efficiently. So I'm going to go with Goff as well.
I love that. I get the point too. Like, I was thinking about this on my way into to do the show. Like, I was trying to think of, like, all right, if we're talking about MVP on the Lions team, like, if a guy goes down, like, how would a scenario work out? Like, most valuable, like, best player, again, Penei Sewell is the best player, not just on the offensive side, on the entire team. Like, he's, to me personally, I think Penei Sewell's top 10 best in the entire NFL, no matter what position. I just, like, we talk about value and like, I get it with Penei because he's protecting Jared Goff. To Jeff's point, like, Jared's touching the ball every time. Like, This man is going to and I hate the argument a little bit where people are like, well, he needs everything around him. Yeah, he does. Like a player that's not a Patrick Mahomes type player, you're going to need to build a roster around him. So I don't use that as an excuse. But if Jared Goff went down for the season this year, pack your bags up. You're like, the season's over. Like that. Like I don't care if you think Hendon Hooker's the next. I think we can all agree with that. Like if that happens, your season's done. Now, if he goes down for a game or two, I think Hendon Hooker can hold the fort a little bit, and he can get you guys can get through. But a full season, like, and I don't want to say this, but if someone else on the offense went down, I think there's ways Ben Johnson would be able to, as long as you still have Jared Goff, Ben Johnson would be able to scheme things around to kind of keep you afloat and get a wild card game or go out there and win 9 games still somehow, somewhat. But I think if Jared Goff goes down, you're looking at like a really, really tough season. Like and I'm not saying 3 wins, but I'm saying like you're probably not making the playoffs at that point. And that's I think anyone can agree with that. It's like quarterbacks in any team, your quarterback is your foundation at the end of the day, like leadership wise. And I know Penei is a hell of a leader. Like he'd
be like the next
he's the leader on this team, but that doesn't mean Jared Goff isn't either, because those guys, like the connection that he has with those guys as well, like your quarterback, that is like the heartbeat of your football team. So I think both can go. You can make an argument for either one. That's just kind of why I swayed towards Jared Goff. And I think obviously the NFL thing with Jared Goff, I think he's going to be a finalist and he's going to win MVP.
My only pushback, and again, I don't want to turn this into an argument because it's really like I don't think what you guys are saying is wrong. But where my point of view is coming is like I think of teams like the Andrew Luck Colts, the Drew Brees Saints, like really good fucking quarterbacks. But again, like if Penei Sewell were to go down for the season, like knock on wood, same thing with Jared Goff. Like in my opinion, you can kiss like the deep playoff run goodbye, because when you have Nick Bosa on the other side, when I know we laugh about the Seahawks defense, but they're going to be sending a lot of pressure. Like when you look at the Eagles, even the Packers for that, like Rashawn Gary, like the Packers, even with Penei Sewell, got after Jared Goff. And I just think not only will that happen in the passing game, but in the running game as well. Like if let's say, for the sake of the conversation, like you look at teams all the time that they won't make deep playoff runs, but the backup quarterback comes in, they hold it down for a season. Case Keenum with the Vikings. But when you have good potential players around them and that can make plays for them, you can find a way to get there. And that same thing, that's why I didn't want to turn it into an argument, because with Goff, like Lions probably ain't making it that far with Hendon Hooker. But I just think Penei Sewell, if he goes down, this offensive line goes from top to maybe 10 to 15. And that's not dissing the rest of the offensive line. I think that speaks to how good Penei Sewell is and the lack of depth that there is on this offensive line. So that's where I kind of just veer differently. Like you guys aren't making bad points. That's just where I'm looking at it.
Well, I think too, like you can't just pick the quarterback. Obviously, is the easy answer, but it doesn't apply to every team. Like the Vikings, I wouldn't say Sam Darnold's the MVP. I would say Justin Jefferson. So it's not just because he plays quarterback; it's who he is. He's putting up top 5 numbers. So like that is that he would that would qualify him as an MVP to me. That you just don't have a quarterback, and you're like, well, that dude ain't MVP, no way. So I get it.
I know we have to get to the next one. The last thing it's like, he's not on the Mahomes and Burrow level, but when it comes to statistically wise and keeping the offense rolling, obviously the style of play is completely different. But keeping the offense rolling and the meaning to him in what he does in the offense, that's where it's like it's similar to me to where how like Joe Burrow last year goes down. That's where a little bit it's like, all right, you're probably sitting in a tough position if that happens, just like the Bengals did, like with Joe Burrow, and they go to who was it? Who did
Jake Browning?
Jake Browning, yeah. Like you get into that situation to where it's like if you're on an average team that potentially is going to make the playoffs and a quarterback goes down, they could probably still make the playoffs because there's not a big drop off. So that's all it was.
So what about offense?
Jared Goff MVP still though.
So
NFL
Jared Goff,
MVP.
we think Jared Goff MVP. Klotzy's going with Penei, offensive player of the year for the Lions this year. Most impressive player on offense.
Klotz, I'll let you
start it off.
You guys already know where it's Jahmyr fucking Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a lot of loaded play. There's a lot of loaded talent on this offense, but there's not a more talented player. We talk about Jamison Williams ceiling. Booner and I is like at a receiving core, like we think that's the highest ceiling. Jahmyr Gibbs as a running back is higher than Jamison Williams at the wide receiver spot. Jahmyr Gibbs is the single best offensive player outside of Justin Jefferson in the NFC North. And I think when you look at what he's going to do this year, this offense is going to be depending on Jahmyr Gibbs in those situations where you're like, all right, we need a play. We're going to Jahmyr Gibbs. I understand Amon-Ra St. Brown is there, but when you have a weapon with Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield who can take a run 20 yards, 10 yards, 3 yards or 60 fucking yards, Jahmyr Gibbs can do that. If you need Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down for a game. We've seen it in every season that he's been playing. Jahmyr Gibbs is now a guy that you can give in the receiving game as well. I love David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs just brings that extra X factor. And I think through the air, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a monster as well. And I don't think people give credit enough to how physical of a running back he is. Like, I understand he has a smaller frame, but Jahmyr Gibbs is a physical fucking running back. He was running in between the tackles at Alabama, and in the draft, you heard, I don't know if he can run him in between the tackles. And you saw week 1 against Kansas City, he's laying dudes out. And I think when Lions fans even see that on a bigger scale this year, they're going to be like, yeah, this guy's next at the running back position after Christian McCaffrey. So I love Jahmyr Gibbs for my offensive player of the year.
Am I up?
I knew you. Predictable, Klotzy. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Based on your narrative, I don't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Boone?
I think you have to respect your vets. There's a new vet on this football team. I think when you get into year 4, I don't know when you're officially considered a vet and in the NFL. But year 4, I consider this man a vet now in the NFL. Top 5 wide receiver in the entire NFL. First team All Pro. Again, let me say it one. First team All Pro. I'm not giving him the award this year because he already got the award last year. First team All Pro. 1,500 yards, 120 receptions, 119, sorry, rounded up, 119 receptions. Oh, wait, the year before, 109 receptions, 1,200 yards. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown is the offensive MVP or offensive player of the year. I know that there's going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs coming out party. Sam Laporta is going to have a bigger year. Jameson Williams is going to have a breakout year. The one thing on this offense that is consistent and you can fall back on, which a lot of teams in the NFL don't have. There's a very small amount of teams in the NFL that have this. The reliability of a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Guys, we were at the training camp. Jeff, do you remember the last training camp practice we went to?
Yes.
Who was getting all the catches, and it was just out of nowhere? And we looked at each other, and we were like, we didn't think there was a way that Amon-Ra St. Brown could get better, and that connection with Jared Goff has gotten better. This man's going to go out there, and I can guarantee it, he's going to have a minimum of 1,500 yards again, and he's going to have more than 120 catches. And you know what he's going to do? He's probably going to go out there and break the Detroit Lions. I think it's Herman Moore who has it, all-times catch record in this season. And he's going to go out there and do that. Like, this guy has – think about it again. Remember when he did the receiver show, his goal on the sheet was 155 receptions. NFL record that would have been. He's going to go out there and put another year up. He's only going to get better. Like, people think he's going to take a step back. You should have watched him at training camp. And if you didn't get to see him play at training camp, which we did for about 5 or 6 practices, this guy has gotten that much better. Like, you don't think a guy like this he has. And I think it's going to shock a lot of people. And he just keeps growing. Every single year he's gotten better and better and better. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes out there and improves for a 4th season.
I'm going to go with someone different. Did you guys know that only 13 players have done what I think this Detroit Lions player is about to do? Not only this year, but the next year. 13 tight ends have had consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in NFL history, more than one. Except for tight ends have had one. I think you have a tight end that can go for 1,000, not once, but twice. And that's why I think this offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, great picks. I'm going to go with Sam Laporta because you look at last year's Super Bowl matchup, Travis Kelce, George Kittle. It's so important to have one of the best tight ends in the league. That's, I think, what separates some offenses from others. If you have a guy like Sam Laporta who can do it all, playing one of the hardest positions on offense because what he can do in the run game and in the pass game. But he's a guy that isn't just some tight end. He's a guy that can get you 1,000 yards. So I think he can get 1,000 this year and 1,000 the following year, which will put him it'll be the 14th tight end in NFL history to get consecutive 1,000 yards. He didn't have it last year, but I think he has it the next 2 years. So that's why I think offensive player of the year, I get Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to probably lead the team in receiving yards. But when you look at value to have a tight end that gets 1,000 yards, that's where I think he has the most value. because not every team can just have that. It's rare in the NFL, and you have a guy in Sam Laporta who could be and probably will be one of, if not the best, most productive and best tight end in the NFL this year. So that's why I'm going to go with him. Amon-Ra, love him. He's top 5 at his position. Sam Laporta might be the best tight end in the league this year. So that's why I'm going to go with Sam Laporta. I think he eclipses 1,000 yards, and I think he does it the next season, which will put him as the 14th tight end in NFL history. So I'm going to go with Sam Laporta for offensive player of the year for the Lions. I think he's going to be the most valuable on offense, and especially in the pass game. But I don't hate your choices. They're all
Very
three of the
fine
top
takes.
3 players. I mean,
Very fine takes, but both those guys will have less total yards and touchdowns than Jahmyr Gibbs at the end of the year. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
fair. That's fair.
Player of the year, offensive player.
I should have picked Montgomery. Should have just did just the troll.
You didn't want that heat. You didn't want that. Love Monty though. Love Monty.
All right, let's go with defensive player of the year. I mean, and I think Boone, I think I smell what you're already thinking. I think I can smell what you're thinking. It's not because I have a big nose, but I think I can smell what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, you know what? Do you want me to let you guys go first? You guys having someone else outside of mine?
Can I be honest, boys? I'm just fighting a demon because the obvious answer is to say Aiden Hutchinson, but I'm stuck to this idea of Brian Branch. Brian Branch, like that's where I'm fighting demons because I think the easy answer right now is to say Hutch. But kind of what you were saying, Jeff, about the tight end situation, there's a real chance that Brian Branch could be the best safety in football this year. And a large part of that would be because of Aiden Hutchinson, but I just think Brian Branch is a fucking monster. So I'm going to just use the de facto cop-out. Like, in my opinion, it should unanimously be Hutch. But if I'm sitting here at the end of the year and being like, Brian Branch was the best player on the Detroit Lions defense, I would be like, yeah, I believe that 100%. So it's hard to say not say Hutch.
You know what's funny? I was gonna go there. That was my because it should be Hutch, but besides him, it would be Brian Branch, in my opinion. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
There's
good take. That's a great take.
There's literally 2 players in this conversation. It's Brian Branch and Aiden Hutchinson. And the only reason I would go Aiden Hutchinson is because obviously we're talking the best defensive player on the Detroit Lions. We're not really doing defensive player of the year in the NFL right now. It's more so just our awards for the Lions. So like I would take the Brian Branch answer and I wouldn't argue it because I think it's fair because he can be like I think he's an all-pro this year. We've talked about it before and put his numbers up with all-pros last year, and they're already comparable. And that's with him essentially saying he's getting limited snaps because he wasn't playing safety last year. Now this year he's going to be on the field that much more. His numbers are going to go up drastically, and he's going to produce. I just think with Aiden Hutchinson, guys, like it's a no-brainer. I hate just like the obvious answer. I feel like almost all of these I've had, like the Jared Goff thing I've talked about, now the Hutch thing. I went back and looked at this tweet that I had put out, and I was going back and forth with someone that we all know. And it was the last time when I first put out back June 11th, breaking Detroit Lions news. You heard it here first. Aiden Hutchinson will win Defensive Player of the Year in 2024, back on June 11th. One of our good friends quote tweeted it with some stats saying that, hey, it's not going to happen. These players, it can't happen. Then I hit him back with this. Nick Bosa, J.J. Watt, Terrell Suggs, James Harrison, Warren Sapp. Nick, you guys, those names. Some elite names. They all won Defensive Player of the Year the first season that they were selected as a first-team All-Pro. These guys have these breakout years. And yeah, you could say, well, Hutch hasn't had – he's not an All-Pro yet. He hasn't even done that yet. Most of these big-time guys will take this jump in the same year they win Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to go out there, first-team All-Pro for the first time in his career. And at the same time, he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, just like some of those great names, Nick Bosa, J.J. Watt, Terrell Suggs, James Harrison, the names of those guys, and Warren Sapp. So give me Aiden Hutchinson as Defensive Player of the Year, not just on the Lions, but in the entire NFL.
I mean, yeah. I love that. By the way, you brought the data. I don't hate it.
Brought the stats.
I mean, a couple other guys. I mean, I think should be Brian Branch. I don't know.
It's just those two.
Yeah.
It's those two. I mean, you could argue Alex Anzalone because he's got the green dot. He's the guy calling the plays. He's out there making all the changes, and you know he's probably the heart and the heartbeat of that defense to make sure this thing's rolling. this season, but MVP, most valuable, Aiden Hutchinson, like hands down.
Let's do these next two, and we'll I'll ask you. Most improved. What do you guys think?
Klotz?
Is it offense and defense or just overall?
Overall.
Both.
On the Detroit, just overall, one player on the Lions.
I mean, I know it sounds like it doesn't fit my narrative, but it's Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's a guy that we were like, at the end of the year, we're like, okay, there's a lot of things that need fixed in training camp. There's a lot of pessimistic things about him where it's like, okay, me and Jeff both said, we're like, not hearing a lot about Jack Campbell. And there's going to be that jump where you realize why he was the 18th overall pick, why he was praised for his pass coverage. It might come a little later in the season, but I think the pass coverage, you start to see click with him. And that's a guy that, like Booner preaches all the time, is going to get 100+ tackles this year. So when you look at that, and I just think the way that the game slows down for him, Jack Campbell by the end of the year is a guy that you can look at and be confident in. Is like, okay, after Alex Anzalone leaves, which could possibly be very soon, Jack Campbell is going to be just fine and a star in this defense after he leaves.
I agree with that. I think it's Jack Campbell. Jameson, I get it. And this is why I think it's Jack. Most improved, right? Like J-Mo, I think last year didn't get a lot of touches, but I do think J-Mo improved this offseason. But like I think from what this player was last year to this year, I think Jack over J-Mo, he'll take the biggest jump. Because Jack wasn't bad. He just, I think from last year to this year, he'll take the biggest jump. So that's most improved to me. Like I think J-Mo last year, he still was he had God-given speed. Hands, I think, got improved. Route running's a little improved. Like all that stuff, yeah. But I think from all-around game, the game's slowing down, it's going to be Jack Campbell. So I agree with everything you said, Klotz. I'm going to go with Jack Campbell as well.
I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much. That was all I wanted to say was Jack Campbell. The fact that Klotzy just latched on to Jack Campbell irks me and makes me want to puke right now on live.
Why? Why? Because
you could have picked anyone else.
Jack Campbell.
Hey, no, stay on that side, Klotz.
Pick a side. You can't have, because what's going to happen? Hey, Jeff, you know what's going to happen is Jack Campbell's going to have a breakout year, and we're going to be like, see, Klotz, we told you. And then he's going to come back. Oh, well, I did think he's going to be the most.
This is going to fucking bother me. This is, when you're like, you guys don't listen to me. This is this is like you're not listening to me moment, because I said Alex Anzalone is going to take a slight step up.
I know what
Campbell
you said.
Is going to take a major step up, and I think play at that. Oh, don't do that.
So the only way I can say gotcha.
Two things can be true.
Gotcha. Only way I can say gotcha is if he's better than Anzalone this year.
Correct.
That's a gotcha. Okay.
Correct. And if he's not, next.
I hope I'm keeping you up at night with that. I'll do someone different. I'll be an odd one out, even though you guys already know my feelings on Jack Campbell. That's going to end up being a Pro Bowler this year.
Say it.
I'm going to say Jameson Williams, most improved player.
No Levi-O?
I think Levi-O has a good year. I mean, I think he's not like, for me, most improved player. Like if he's going to go out there and he has to go out there and have like 8 sacks and stop, like be one of the best run stoppers at his position, for me to be like, yeah, he's most improved. I just think with J-Mo, like you saw over the stretch of football, like he had 300 and something yards. I think there's a chance, and you're going to see Jameson Williams. And it was by just seeing the plays that they looked at him through training camp and stuff. Like they were constantly going at him. This wasn't like a thing to where it's just one of these. Remember how last year, Jeff, there was one every once in a while they're drawing a play up for J-Mo. It's not like that this year. Like with Jameson Williams, it's that every play, it's either Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, or Jameson Williams. There's no specialty plays for Jay. There's going to be, yes, but he is involved now in the offense. He is now in the Josh Reynolds role where he is one of the reads, and he will get a lot more opportunities. And again, just like we said the other day, a guy like Jameson Williams, you get the ball in his hand more, he's turning that into yards after catch. He is going to probably have top 10 in the NFL in yak yards. That's just that's the type of player he is. So I think J-Mo, you're going to see him go from 300 to 800, 900 yards. That is a significant jump. That is a massive jump. And you look at that throughout the NFL, there's not a lot of wide receivers in the NFL that are going to go from 300 to 800. That's a big time jump, and from a couple touchdowns up to 6-7 touchdowns. That's a pretty big jump, and he's going to be an absolute powerhouse on this offense. He's going to be a problem. Like, teams have to account for Jameson Williams now.
Yeah, I think JMO besides Jack is the answer. Like, I think those two, I don't even hate, like, honestly, you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, did we have the same number 1 and number 2 breakout player, Boone? I think we had Jack Campbell and JMO. Didn't we have the same first two? I don't know. I'm trying to think when we did the top 5 breakout players for the Lions. I'm pretty sure. But we agreed.
JMO? We had literally Jack
JMO.
Campbell. We both had Jack Campbell 1 and JMO 2.
So
that was why
we're
I
in the
just didn't
same
want to
boat.
clear the board with Jack Campbell. I'll take JMO. I think that's a good most improved player.
Yeah, we're in the same boat. I see some people talking about JMO. Nemesis JMO is going to break more ankles this year. Silence says if Kerby takes the next step, the defense will be cooking. I think that's a good one too. I mean, if you mentioned any of the guys in the secondary, like I don't hate, like if you were to say Brian Branch, this is tough. Brian was already very good last year, so I don't know. I don't think he's most improved over those guys. But hey, we'll see.
I was thinking him. It's just that's the thing. It's like Brian's been.
That's most improved. That's where it gets a little tricky. Eastside Wood says Derek Barnes. I don't know. Watch me start scoffing at it. Watch him be right.
He's gonna have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. I think it's definitely. I mean, we have Christopher says Onzarike. I mean, based off what we've seen of Levi, I mean, if he gets 4 sacks, he's improved. I mean, significantly improved. So I mean, I don't hate that. It is 8:48. It is Wednesday. All right. And on Wednesday, for those who are just joining, if you're just tuning in, we welcome in a legend. The man, the myth, John Maakaron, who, by the way, the doc, please, if you haven't already, for all your Lions offseason, now into the season, the number 1 spot you are going to want to be checking out, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. I mean, we played John's clip earlier of DJ Reader. So please, link will be in the description. Show him some love for all your Detroit Lions news. But let's bring him in, Mr. John Maakaron. John?
Here we go.
How you doing, my man?
Oh, bless. It's time, baby. The season is here. It's time to fucking get hyped. It's the best opportunity for this football team to have a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. It's a great opportunity to really talk to you guys and rile up the chat, rile up the losers like Nick and Crazy Clown. I'm here, baby. I'm not going anywhere, baby. You're not going to hold me down, and you can talk as much shit as you want, but unfortunately, the bright lights shine on the DOC every single Wednesday. And it's my job to deliver, and they keep having me, and I keep checking in on those YouTube views, and they're getting up there. So and now that you guys are growing, we're going to grow this thing together all the time.
Hey, Doc, we love you. Doc, I gotta ask you right off the rip, because we used your video you took of DJ Reader at practice, and you were there with the media talking to Dan. What's the feeling you have so far, and what's the feeling you've gotten from DJ Reader at least being able to play week 1? I said it earlier. I think they could beat the Rams without him. So where are you at the realistic shot that he goes out there on Sunday night and plays?
Yeah, I talked about this because people are generally curious. It doesn't go by how the Lions typically operate in terms of just having a guy practice for 1 week and then playing. So to me, I just think that the plan all along was to start against the Buccaneers. And I think you go with that. Look, I think that DJ Reader is somebody that definitely would help your defensive line, but I don't get the sense based on history that Dan Campbell can't reveal and say that, hey, he's not going to play. Typically he'll say things like, we'll leave the door open day by day. But I just think that when you look at it, is it really fair to the player to just have 1 week of practice and then go out there and play against the Rams? So to me, I would be a little bit surprised, but if he is out there and a handful of opportunities, look, he's great against the run, and you realize this Rams team is going to feature some solid running backs, and you can use them out there, but I just don't see him getting the full allotment of defensive snaps. It just seems too fast. You saw with CD, just looking at last year with CD Deuce, when he came back, they kind of held him on in terms of practice for a couple weeks before they threw him out there. So I just think that you stick with the plan and you debut him against the Buccaneers when you're 1-0.
I love that, Doc. Hey, I think I was the one that said I think he ended up suiting up on Sunday. I'm going to get right to the chase here. I've been waiting for months to talk the Rams game with you, Doc, and actually talk some real football here. I just want to know, and we could talk about players and more specifics as this goes on, but I want to start it off with, what is just your main key to victory here? I mean, the Lions, this is a big-time football game. Sunday night football, primetime rematch of the wild card. Matthew Stafford's coming back. What is your biggest key to victory? How do the Lions get this game done? I think people might think it's going to be an easier game. Jeff thinks it's going to be an absolute bloodbath versus the Rams. What do you think is going to happen, and what do the Lions need to do to come out with a victory?
I know I got my slappy on too, because on my podcast, The Lone Wolves, today, I don't know why, at certain points, I just feel like the Lions are going to blow out the Rams. I just feel like I have a blowout in my head. I don't know why. You look at it analytically and you say, yeah, the Rams are going to be hyped up. They want revenge. They want to, come back. But look, they just traded their star linebacker to the Titans. They have two guys on the offensive line that are potentially not going to be there. So I look at it like a lot of noise surrounding the Rams. And I just think that Matthew Stafford sucks, and he's going to be a sitting target for Davenport, McNeil, and Aiden Hutchinson to lay him out. So to me, I just think that if you get this ball rolling, you get going to a situation in which how do you look at this and say that the Lions are not going to be fired up by that crowd? I mean, if Nick goes there, probably he'll bring everybody down with his poor attitude, but everybody else is going to be cheering and having a good time and drinking, and just the atmosphere is going to be crazy. So to me, I just see, my brain says, and to share my prediction, I think it's going to be 35-17, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of energy. I don't think Matthew, like I said, I'm going into this, this week, before, probably it's a tight 1-point game or whatever happens analytically. I'm going into this week with the full excitement of why not go out there and light some MFers up. Just go out there and dominate a football team that's not as good as you. I think the Lions collectively are better than the Rams. They have a better quarterback. They have a better running back. They have a better secondary. And I think they're going to go out there and just the momentum of the crowd. I just picture my ears ringing for the next couple of days and handling business at a high level. So to me, I see a blowout. I just think that get on them, jump on them early, and take out Matthew Stafford, who's going to throw, my bold prediction, he's going to throw a pick six to Terry Arnold right away.
Wow.
Pick six,
That's
baby.
a big one. That's a big
Why
one.
not?
Back Bama rookies with week 1 interceptions, Doc. I love it. And I love the narrative about just I respect the Rams as a team, but just week 1, they're not going to be at their peak by any means. But let's say they somehow, Doc, they make this a close game. Who do you think is the player for the Rams outside of Matthew Stafford that would be making the biggest imprint? If there's a player on the Rams that scares you the most to make this a game, who do you think it would be?
Yeah, no doubt. Let me just real fast address Craig's solid question. If Stafford sucks, he owns every record because Padford was down every game because he couldn't throw touchdowns in the first half. And so the team was down by 14. And then he got the garbage yards and stats in the second half. In the end, no playoff wins, no nothing. He's got as much accomplishment as Craig does in terms of statistics and real tangible results. So yeah, I'm a Stafford hater. He wasted my time. And I'm on record as one of my boldest takes was when he signed that $25 million extension, it pissed me off. I said, never pay it. It'll never work. And they did. You're cooking, Doc. And he walked into your office and told the owner, get me out of here. So I love the fact that they ruined the Rams season last year. And I love the fact that the fan base understands that it should be hostile towards a quitter. And that's what it's going to be again. And that's why, to me, I think that, what would concern me analytically is Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua healthy could kind of do some things and move that football. But you looked at the game. I just watched the Rams game again now twice the last couple of days. And you saw them move the football in between the 20s. The Lions gave the cushion and they moved the football. But once they got to the 20 into the red zone, the Lions defense clamped down. And I think, I think that that's going to happen again. I think that Stafford can move the football, Williams and Corum. There'll be some plays that are made. But in the end, I think when it's crunch time, I don't think they get into the end zone with the regularity that the Lions will. So to me, I think your concern level should be those two wideouts, because they're going to make some plays. And if you expect, Cooper Kupp healthy, he's going to do some things. And Puka Nacua, man, is he a talented individual that can do some things. When you watch film of him last year, my goodness, he was a nice draft pick for the Rams.
Well, I mean, you kind of just talked about it a little bit, but I was going to ask you about the matchup, because my big concern when we talk about this Rams-Lions matchup, because we talked about the first 5 games of the season, and we had a debate, and I think the Rams will be the toughest game. And I think part of that, Doc, is because week 1 with a new secondary, you're not as worried, I guess, much about a Carlton Davis, but you know how, especially with a new secondary, chemistry, on-field chemistry, being in war together, like that's how you build chemistry. And it'll be their first game of the NFL season. Where are you at with their new look secondary and how they hold up? Like, yeah, like you said, Puka and Cooper are going to get theirs, but do you think it'll be as bad as last year in the playoffs? Because they did get better. I mean, Kendall Vildor ain't going to be playing, so at least there's that. No offense to him, but they improved that secondary, especially a corner.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, it's Terrion Arnold's first game. He's going to be matched up with a primetime receiver, and let's see what he brings to the table. Carlton Davis is trying to showcase that he's a true lockdown cornerback that can play the number 1 spot. And I do think that here's how you help your secondary, and that's by being ultra aggressive on the defensive line, getting to Matthew Stafford. And I think that this secondary can play a little bit more press man coverage. They can bring a little bit more heat to Matthew Stafford. And you look at it and you say, okay, what would be the concern? You'd have a situation in which maybe Terrion Arnold gets a little bit, not overwhelmed, but you say, welcome to the NFL, playing these wide receivers. Just how much I'm curious to see how Aaron Glenn decides to deploy the secondary. But look, this defensive line is going to make it so that Matthew Stafford has as least amount of time to throw the football as possible. And I do think that when you see the potential of Levi Onwuzurike, Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, and Marcus Davenport, and then you mix in a Pascal and a James Houston, I just think the defensive line can help the secondary by giving them just a little bit more wiggle room, because last year the defensive line just didn't have as much. So the secondary had to be basically flawless. Now they don't have to be. And then you realize now your starting safeties are Brian Branch and Kerby Joseph. I just think the middle of the field is going to be tough for Matthew Stafford. The key is going to be jump on him early. The key is going to be make it so that Matthew Stafford cannot hear what's going on. And I do believe some turnovers are going to happen. And then it'll be a boat race, because I just think the Rams defense is not stopping this Lions offense. So to me, you get up on them early, and then you can let the game kind of dictate itself. And then Matthew Stafford will be throwing from behind, and he'll definitely probably toss maybe one to each, one to Davis and one to Terrion Arnold, because Stafford, given, his elevated age and the fact that, he's scared of Kerby Joseph, I think that his head's going to be all messed up in this one.
And Doc, the one thing you mentioned there was the D line. That's been something I've talked about a lot this offseason, and we've actually had a lot of conversations with you leading up to this week about the defensive line. And last season, it felt like that Dan and them were very comfortable with the D line they had. Obviously, it wasn't like they thought it was a great one, but they seemed comfortable. This year, it's a similar thing to where they feel comfortable with Levi Mekhi Wingo, Josh Pascal, James Houston. What is your confidence level with these guys outside of I know they upgraded with DJ Reader and Lee McNeil and Hutch, but just what's your confidence level with those other guys going into this Sunday? Like, do you think they're going to make an impact this season, or has it been an upgrade to this room?
You're talking about defensive line. Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. But first, I have to address Mr. Tom Izzo, because that name sticks out. And Tom, I have to address. I did go up to Michigan State. But your comment in regards to my personal habits, I don't have to spend $350 a week, because the places you go have specials now. Thursday specials, they got Tuesday specials. I don't go on Friday when the prices are through the roof. You go when it's the right time, and 2 for $20, or VIP for a certain price. So come on, man. I'm economical in the personal habits that I have. $350 a week. You don't need to do that. There's a lot of specials all over town to get your business. So no, don't need to do that. But back to the Detroit Lions defensive line. Look, man. I am thrilled. I just think that when you look into Terrell Williams and what he's got to work with, first and foremost, start with Aiden Hutchinson. You previewed it. Everyone's talking about it. He's going to have a monster year. And another bold prediction, he probably has 3 sacks against Stafford. Put him in the dirt one more time with the Thriller dance and everything like that. Let's talk best case scenario is that Matthew Stafford drops back and so many pressures and sacks from Aiden Hutchinson, because hopefully Havenstein is gone and the suspension to the left tackle was great. So I just think that Aiden Hutchinson is ready and he's going to want to put up some numbers early. Now you look at it too. What if Levi Onwuzurike, I think, is going to be somebody that is going to, at least for the first week, want to showcase some things and showcase, hey, his first statement to the media was, I want to F crap up. And that's what he's going to do, I believe. And now you realize too, Aleem McNeil is going to feast with Marcus Davenport. And then James Houston's going to come in on third down when it's 3rd and long and just handle business. This defensive line, I think collectively can mix and match. And we're not even talking about the rookie Wingo, who's going to get some reps as well, Josh Pascal. So at least this first week, the matchup, when you have 2 starters potentially not playing, that's just going to be a problem for the Los Angeles Rams. And then the best thing is that these defensive linemen, when you see a stiff back there like Matthew Stafford, he's going to be a sitting target. So if you bring the pressure with the safeties like Brian Branch and you just really make it a nightmare, I just think for the Rams game, it's going to be really a challenge for Matthew Stafford. And then moving forward, I just see really, if everybody stays healthy, when DJ Reader comes back, now you have a force in the middle. He told me, on the Lone Wolves podcast that, he's great against the run. He's going to mix in some pressures at calculated times, but the Lions defensive line the Lions defense already featured a top 5 unit against the run. Now just imagine more pressure with Marcus Davenport, James Houston, Pascal, and Levi. It's going to be a nightmare. I just am picturing, right now in my head, got the Metallica in my head with all the highlights of the Lions defensive line just destroying opposing quarterback week after week after week. And the hit list starts now. The DOC is putting out a QB hit list. And it starts week 1 with Matthew Stafford. And let's go. He's in the crosshairs. I'm picturing it right now. Davenport and Aiden Hutchinson, bam, crushing Matthew Stafford. He's the first victim on the D-line hit list. Let's go.
Hey, Doc's got a bounty gate on him here pretty soon.
That's exactly right.
Like Dan Campbell, you never know. But Doc, we're going to see a lot of things week 1. We're going to start to see some questions be answered, whether it's for a good way or a bad way. We're going to get answers to some of the questions that we have. And I think the biggest question mark that a lot of Lions fans are optimistic about is Jameson Williams. I look at Jameson Williams, the offseason that he's had, and then I look at Darius Williams, Tre'Davious White off of 2 major injuries. I think J-Mo could have a game, especially week 1. They're going to be game plan for Amon-Ra St. Brown, this run game, Sam Laporta. What do you think we're going to see out of Jameson Williams week 1?
Yeah, it's I'm curious to see about Jameson Williams because you want to get him involved. So in talking with people and things like that, you say, okay, how many targets would you give him? I just think first and foremost, the key is the game plan this week should feature Jameson Williams early in the contest. And you want to have him be a primary read early. Maybe you take a deep shot early and set the tone. But I just think Jameson Williams gets into the flow of the game and just makes impactful plays. Now, does he get up there in terms of 6-7 receptions? I doubt it. I think that he'll have a couple explosive plays. But I think early on, I'm curious because, the Rams did add a free agent cornerback from the Bills. I'm curious to see how the Rams are going to attack the Lions wide receivers. Do you give extra attention to Amon-Ra? Does it go to stack the box to stop the run game, leaving the wide receivers open and test it and making Goff beat you? So I'm curious to see what their approach is going to be. But Jameson Williams, I've told you guys this in previous talks, where he wasn't even the primary target or the second target on a lot of routes last year. And he just said, look, in certain times when I'm open or I'm running routes, sometimes I wasn't even a guy that was going to be really included in the play. So now I do expect Jameson Williams to be in a handful of reps where he's the first look. And it's up to Jared Goff to hit him and get him involved early. So that, to me, that's kind of easy to do. A couple screen passes, end arounds, maybe even, simple handoffs, get him involved in the game get his momentum going. And once you do that, I just think that you're looking at a player that's going to be very productive for this offense. And could you imagine, you saw the offense last year. Now you add an explosive weapon that can get up there into the 800 yards and 60 to 80 footballs and hopefully a couple more explosive plays. I just think that you're starting to see the emergence of what could be a very talented number one receiver.
Doc, I've been seeing more of the Tim Patrick clips of him at practice. Looks very sharp, even at his age. 30 years old. Looks very sharp out there, Doc. I need at least the feeling from you. What does the timeline look like for someone like Tim Patrick? Because they have Allen Robinson on the practice squad as well. When do you think the timeline looks like for them bumping up one of these guys and potentially having him out there for a game? Is it this week, or you think it's more so next week?
Yeah, it's very intriguing. If you guys, I don't like to laugh at my co-host, but Christian today, if you go check out the latest Lone Wolves podcast that we dropped today, he's out here trying to spit at me that Allen Robinson should be the call up. And you see my face, just look at my face. I'm trying not to laugh out loud at my guy, but he's like, yeah, Allen Robinson. I'm like, and I said to him directly, Allen Robinson hasn't done nothing for a couple years. And I just think he's brought here for intel on the Rams because he was there.
Oh,
so, think about it. Allen Robinson hasn't done squat. He has to show that he can do anything. So that's Allen Robinson. DPJ, I think the two call-ups this week, are important. I think it's going to be Peko and DPJ because of the understanding of the offense, in my opinion. Could be different. It's always, hit or miss based on what happens at practice. But I do think Peko gets up there into the game this week. Now, Tim Patrick, clearly the reports are that he was signed with the intention of getting to the active roster. Is it in a week? I just don't think Ben Johnson's offense is mastered that quickly. So I would say probably not this week, but maybe by week 3 or at the latest against Seattle. So why not against, Arizona on the road? Might be a little easier, less pressure. But I do think that, based on what you've seen, clearly he can move and he's got opportunities to be that guy. But to me, like I said, these are all guys that you just want to get a couple balls to. You don't want them involved heavily. Yeah, you want disguises and things like that, but what can you clearly at this point expect from Tim Patrick, who hasn't played in a couple years, realistically? So to me, I roll with the top 6. You get them the ball as much as humanly possible. To me, any ball towards Patrick is one less ball for Laporta, Jamo, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and David Montgomery. I've said it to you, and I agree with Dan Campbell. You don't worry about a practice squad wide receiver and the targets he gets. You hope to have him. You hope he's productive. Every weapon is great, but you don't need it. You got 6 guys that you want to feed. And then you got room for Khalif Raymond in opportunities as well. And Brock Wright and Sione Vaki. Patrick, to me, at this point, is the 8th option. And that's a great problem to have in my mind, in the fact that if you get anything out of him, it's just a bonus.
Ed, Doc, another kind of situation with an injured guy. I know you kind of coming off he's not coming off the practice squad, but talking about like DJ Reader and the injuries too. Ife Melifonwu, what's going on with Ife Melifonwu? Is like, and I guess it's more so of a 2-part question to where one is the injury serious, because it sounded like what Dan Campbell said that it's been kind of a longer term thing to where the last few weeks he's been dealing with it and it's been an on and off thing. And then 2, even when he does return, where does Iffy fit into the secondary? Because that's been something we've talked about on this show, and I've mentioned, and I know a lot of the people listening, they were like, well, Booner, what are you talking about? It's Ife Melifonwu. Look what he did last year. But it's you have Brian Branch at Kerby there, so you're trying to fit him in. Where do you see all this whole Iffy situation going, Doc?
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't speculate on it because it hasn't been fully reported, but clearly what Dan Campbell said is that they're still trying to decipher the severity and length of what's going on with it. But clearly, I don't expect him to be out there for week 1. You hope, look, man, it's unfortunate because he's battled injuries. You hope that he can get out there sooner rather than later. But at the same token, it does give you the opportunity to see Branch and Kerby Joseph playing together. So to me, I just think that it's unfortunate. He was a guy that you started to see emerge at the tail end of last year, his physicality, and he gives you that versatility as well, and that he can be a bigger body cornerback if you need to be. If something happens to Terrion Arnold, you can move him up there as well. So they like his versatility. Unfortunately, he just couldn't. He's having problems staying healthy and being a consistent contributor. but it does open up the door for Brian Branch to handle things. And look, I think that for Ifeatu Melifonwu, you hope that the injury is not long lasting based on what you're hearing. But at the same token, at this point, when you hear that when Dan Campbell gives his update and he says it's still uncertain, that means there's debates. And that means the severity could be up there in terms of length, what to do in terms of IR. There could be some discussions. So it's just unfortunate because even if he's out there, you always got to kind of be a little bit nervous because just every couple games or so, something is always kind of coming up and something he's dealing with. And it's unfortunate for a young player who's gaining that confidence. But at the same token, you just hope that he does get healthy and can contribute something when it counts most in the second half of the year.
Kind of staying with the defense, Doc. What do you think, at least week one, there's a completely new look to this defense. Do you think Aaron Glenn, schematically, do you think he's going to be sent in the house playing a lot of press man? Or do you think now that he's got the players where he can kind of sit in zone coverage and he can take advantage of that weak offensive line, he'll be playing that? What do you think the identity of this defense will be week one?
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that, look, Terry Arnold played press man. Why not? I think that you can do it a little bit more often. I think that you see in this game with Matthew Stafford, you bring pressure. I think that against different type of quarterbacks, you can do a little bit more zone and things like that. But right away, I'm curious to see how often Branch blitzes, who is coming from which position. I do see safety blitzes. I see Derek Barnes being a factor in this game. I see a lot of opportunities to bring the house and in certain situations and be able to clearly they're going to have their front and they're going to look to win the battles and stop the run. But at certain points, I just think that it's all systems go. You got a sitting target. And I think that Matthew Stafford is going to feel the pressure. The communication is going to be super tough because of the crowd. And I do think that this week, man-to-man coverage will be something that, you got to be careful with because you got to make sure. And that was my question. And that's kind of the theme I kind of started the week with. Our roundtable on Lions on SI. I asked the guys the question, do you think the secondary can gel and communicate that quickly? And then I took their response and kind of made it a question directly to Dan Campbell. He said it will be a point of emphasis this week. The crowd noise playing at practice, making sure the defense communicates because Matthew Stafford is good, to give him credit, at disguising certain things and fitting some tight throws in there. So there may be some, early season mix-ups and mixed communications in the secondary, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a detriment based on the talent that they have. I just can't wait to see how many plays Ennis Rakestraw plays, how Amik Robertson looks in that secondary. Aaron Glenn, boy, you just at this point, we're going to talk to him on Thursday. I can't wait to see his excitement level for what he can deploy because I think he has his arsenal at this point in time. He's got pretty much everything he needs to run his defense.
Yeah, well said, Doc. We appreciate. Hey, Doc, next week will be the first week we have you after a game. So I cannot wait for it. Please, especially this week, and if you haven't already, and especially the week after the game, go to Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Please read John's stuff, Christian's stuff, Vito's stuff. They're doing a great job. Doc, good luck this weekend.
A legend, Doc.
Football, big game. You'll be there. We'll catch you next week, my friend.
Thank you, guys. And thank you so much for the platform. To all the haters, I hate to say it, to all the haters out there that don't think I know football, all I'm going to say is Sports Illustrated is not going to hire me and keep me for 6 years to cover the Detroit Lions. You see the videos from me there talking football. So if you're out there loving Tim Patrick being the number 3, good for you. I look at it like, to me, my plate is filled with the stars. And if you're out there like, oh my God, I got to know all about Patrick and number 3. The DOC, on the other hand, is talking to Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Aiden Hutchinson, the stars of the team. And I'm going to say this. There's so many of them that a Tim Patrick or a Patrick or a DPJ really, in the end, is just a bonus. So it's you hope that all the players that they have on the practice squad can contribute. But bottom line, guys, the Lions are going to win 12 games this year and get to the Super Bowl because of their stars. So don't worry so much about the number 3 wideout when you got some of the top guys. I know you haven't seen it before, but you got some of the top guys at their position, at wideout, at tight end, at running back. So sit back and enjoy it. Follow the DOC. Keep your comments coming. I love the supporters, but to be honest, the haters get me paid. See you, fellas.
Oh, what a bar! What a bar!
I got the bar, dude.
That is
What
a bar.
Fucking Doc, bro.
I mean, I just think, I mean, the water's warm. I mean, he says it. He
Sharks
says
are swimming.
the sharks are in the water.
That's comedy. God.
I mean,
Well, how do we even segue from that? I feel
You
like the
don't.
show should just end there
I-
almost. Like that would be a great way to catch it tomorrow.
He said the haters get me paid, keep me paid. I don't even know what he said. It just that's incredible.
The legend.
Let's
Shout out to Doc.
let's bring on let's bring in Gentry because I don't know
Oh.
I don't know how Gentry's going to top what the Doc just did. I mean, that's incredible
Oh.
outro. Let's bring in the legend
Running over there.
BMG. I mean, Mike, what's going on, brother?
Gentlemen, how are we?
Hey, Mike.
Yo,
I mean,
I don't think I'll be able to top the Doc. I mean, that's hard to do on a weekly basis. He comes in here, makes noise, pays bills, and leaves. So I mean, Doc's the man. You gotta be thankful for him. Having him every week is truly a treat for us, and not only us, the chat as well. So
yeah, he's the man. You know what, guys? I did want to play this. Doc kind of hinted at it. Do you see that clip of Stafford before we get to, or we're going to get into division winners and we're going to spend some time on that? I just want to get this and show you guys. You guys see Stafford on Kerby throwing some shade at Kerby? Do you see this?
Yeah.
All right, let's play the clip. This is directly from the Rams. They make content, obviously, being at practice and at training camp and all that stuff. So here's Matthew Stafford speaking on Kerby Joseph's name. Let's play the clip.
I was reminded of what I think are actually my favorite moments of yours as a Ram, kind of reflecting on last year's wild card game. And one was the Super Bowl when you kind of go after, I think, Mike Hilton first, but then you end up with Von Bell kind of defending Cooper Kupp. And then again last year when you go up and have a word with Kerby Joseph. And this is kind of like my Chris Farley Saturday Night Live, like Paul McCartney moment. Like, this is not really a question. This is just me saying, like, hey, that was pretty cool. Do you remember that?
Those are good skits.
But, like, what is that? How does it come out of you, and why does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, that's just care for my teammates, you know, and I care so much about what these guys go through. You know, there's sometimes things said about, hey, Matthew, you play through stuff, you're tough, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you guys don't know the half of it. You know, like I get hit 5-10 times a game. Maybe these guys are going through the same thing I'm going through, and they're out there, you know, running routes, getting hit, blocking defensive end. And the deal last year, I just felt like, you know, I don't like it when guys in this, you know, for one reason or another, take shots at guys that I feel like are not the way the game should be played at that moment. And, you know, that was something that had, you know, been on tape, you know, in previous weeks he had done that. And you look back in games past our game and the same kind of thing is showing up. So I was frustrated for my guy in the moment and really just protective of the guys that I get, you know, I'm in the huddle with. I care so much about them and want those guys to be, you know, able to finish seasons and do all that kind of stuff. Is it important? I don't know. You know, I just feel like it's the right thing to do, so I just go for it.
Yeah, and he said, and this is based again for people that live under a rock. I mean, he called out Kerby last year, like directly, and they even had the audio from the mic'd up of him being, you know, talking some junk to him. Stafford, by the way,
terrible teeth, bro.
You played, the teeth are. I mean that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on the teeth, so let's
played
pick and choose, boys.
Ndamukong fucking
you played with Ndamukong Suh, Stafford. I mean, in compared to what Kerby did, what Kerby did was legal, whether you like it or not. That was legal. Like you played with a guy who was much dirty. I mean, straight dirty. Stepping on guys. It's a whole other thing. Didn't say anything then. But now we're gonna say this about Kerby Joseph. I just thought it was laughable. I mean, this is just, and again, and I know Booner, you say this a lot too. I've defended Stafford a lot, but this is like, I mean, dude, I get it. He's your friend, Tyler Higbee, probably fine human, but that injury, it was clean. I mean, Kirby's going low on a big tight end. I mean, what do you expect the man to do?
Tyler Higbee is 6'6", 250 pounds.
Got to go
Kerby
low.
Joseph is 200 pounds and 6 foot. Like what? And the part about what Stafford says that baffles me is like, you saw it this week, You saw it in previous weeks. Like Kerby Joseph has been doing that. Like that's how Kerby Joseph tackles. Like he's not a guy that's a sure tackler. He goes there and just like when it comes to pass coverage, he takes a chance and he tries to knock motherfuckers out. And if he goes high on Tyler Higbee, he's not making that tackle. It's in the open field. He's going to get momentum going. No way. Like that's simply what you call a cut tackle. That's how the game's played. In football, people get hurt. And that's the way that people get hurt constantly. But that's just part of the game. So to call Kerby Joseph a dirty player, like you can look at so many safeties around the NFL that have done that exact same play. Like I get it. It sucks that it has to be done, but that's literally the game of fucking football.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Stafford's fired up, and like you said, he was defending his guy. But to what both of you guys said, how else are they supposed to hit people? And if I think roles were reversed and Kerby Joseph's on his team and he makes that hit, no matter injury or not, Stafford's fired up about it. It was a good hit. It was a good tackle. So, but there's nothing Kerby Joseph can do. Like, there's so many things about the game now where a flag's being thrown, how to tackle. You can't tackle this way. You got to tackle that way. So it's just too much. But I don't know, man. The last like 2 interviews I've seen of Stafford, I feel like you're seeing a different side out of him, like a different like cockiness to him in a sense. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way. I still love Stafford, but I feel like he's kind of more outspoken a little bit more than he has been in past times, I would say.
Got the veneers. Dude thinks he's fucking Justin Timberlake now or something.
Yeah, it's Hollywood. A little bit of douche to him now. Yep.
It's just the right, like, great hero talk, dude. But Boone, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like the video that came out last year of him, I don't like. It doesn't. I didn't care about that because, like, if we're playing football and we're on a team together, like we've all played sports. Like, I'm gonna say something to the other team. If like they hurt a guy on my team, whether I think it was right or wrong, or it was right or wrong, I'm probably gonna say something. Like, even if it was a fair play, then I'm gonna still go up and be like, hey, like you're a dirty player. Like, I'm gonna try and get in his head. So the mic'd up stuff, I really didn't care about from the jump. But I will say this, like, dude, you get asked this question again. It's a football play. Like, he knows it was. Like, everyone knows it was. Like, Vikings Twitter fans are trolling Lions fans about the hit on TJ Hawkinson for Kerby Joseph. Like, you're a starting quarterback in the NFL. Why don't you not be one of those trolls? Like, you know how the game of football is. It's played. There are injuries. Guys are going to tackle low. Guys are going to tackle high. Like, if you don't want him to tackle low, okay, guess what we're going to do? We'll hit high, and we'll give your guy a concussion, and he'll be out for a few weeks as well. So it's like whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But pick a side. Like, get over it at that point. And I don't know. The Stafford stuff, again, he's the enemy this week, so I could say whatever I want about the man.
That's who some people want a pregame memorial for. Ain't no fucking way, dude. Ain't no shot. No shot. With those fucking teeth, no shot. For that statue.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like on a world tour with this Kerby stuff now. I mean, it's like, who cares, dude? I mean, it really isn't that big a deal.
Man, keep this in mind. The man has still never won a division his whole career in the NFL. Not one. Not in Detroit, not in LA. Not one.
I mean, Klotz, I love you. I don't really care. The guy's got a Super Bowl. I could care less about that stat. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a quarterback winning he won a Super Bowl. Let's Trent
Dilfer.
I mean,
Trent Dilfer.
There's good stats.
Marino has none.
There's good stats, and then there's just a bad stat. That's a bad one. He has a Super Bowl. I will stand up to that one.
I just put a poll in the chat. Who's worse, Pat Mahomes' brother or Kelly Stafford? I mean,
we know where that's going for sure.
70% say Kelly Stafford, 30% say Patrick Mahomes' brother. I mean,
I'd rather be in a room with Kelly Stafford than Jackson Mahomes. Like, I could admit that much.
That's fair.
That dude,
it's close.
That is very fair.
It's close.
I think if you're like, Kelly, just please for a little bit, just like I'm stressed out, please. Like, she might listen. Jackson, not a fucking chance. Dude's gonna be doing TikTok dances and grabbing girls out of the corner of your eye when you're just trying to chill.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's about a 50-50. It's about pick your poison. That's how I think it is. All right, let's get to division winners, boys. You ready for this? This is it. You got to lock them in now. Ain't no running now, huh? Come on, Boone. I'm talking to you, Boone. Hey, when we get to the Jags,
bro's locked in. He's locked in. He's thinking of his Tennessee Titans AFC win.
Hey, when we get to that AFC South, you better strap in. Hey. It's gonna get intense. I'm telling you.
I've got all
let's,
mine. I'm locked in. I don't. Let's roll. I've got
All
all
right,
mine written out. I've had them written out for days now.
All right, let's start with we'll just not do the NFC North. I mean, it's not even wait.
Let's do the NFC North at the end, the very last one. We'll do the NFC North at the end.
There you go. Maybe I'll say Bears. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not doing just winners. You're naming all four. You're putting your four in order.
Oh shit.
That's what I did. I put all my four in order for every division.
We can do that. That's
and
fair.
then we don't have to take a long time for each one, but we can each give our four, and then if there's some points.
Well, we'll start in the AFC. We'll start out east. AFC East: Jets, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills. Where are you guys? How you have it lining up at the end of the season?
You want me to go?
Boone, Gentry, me, Jeff.
I think this
we'll
is
go around the horn.
This is going to be one of the closest divisions in football at the AFC East with the Bills and Jets. I'm going to say this: the Patriots are going to be one of the worst teams in football. I think we know that. Shout out Jacoby Brissett for finally getting another chance at starting quarterback. It sucks he's going to lose it within a year. Sorry, I didn't mean to. That was mean. But the Dolphins, I think out of this division, the Dolphins are third. They're going to be out of the playoffs this year. There's going to be something that happens with the Dolphins this year where I think it's the defense isn't there. I think there's going to be some injuries on the offense throughout the year, and it's going to be a down year for this offense. I'm going the winner of this division, the most slept-on team in all of football with the most slept-on player in all of football that somehow, some way, as a top 3 player in the NFL, got voted the most overrated player in the NFL by his peers. The most disrespectful thing of all time. The Buffalo Bills will shock people. There has never been a situation in the entire NFL where one single player had such a cancer on the football team. I'm not going to say cancer because I know that's people think that's a mean word to say about someone, but I would say that's what it was. Stephon Diggs in that locker room, he was like, I want it out. Like Stephon Diggs was a bad person in that locker room to have in there. He brought the place down. It is a different Buffalo Bills team. Buffalo Bills win the divisions. Coming in second place will be the New York Jets that will get a wild card spot, and then the Dolphins out of the playoffs, and then the New England Patriots as my fourth team.
Wow.
What? I was trying to do my list here. I didn't know we were doing.
I'll do my rebuttal because I feel passionately about something Booner said. Booner, I don't think the Bills take is something that is slept on. I think if you look at a lot of national media outlets, a lot of people have the Bills win that division in the playoffs. So I don't think the overhyped or slept on thing about the Bills is there. I think the Bills, they've finished second, though. The team that's going to win it is the Jets. The Jets, if we brought up their schedule earlier, it's a cakewalk of a schedule. Offensively, on paper at least, if this offensive line can hold up, which I think they can because they upgraded it like day and night, it's going to be a top 5 offense. That's going to be a top 5 defense. The question mark comes to fucking Robert Saleh if he can hold his own and not blow a game. But when you look at Aaron Rodgers, I think he's a guy that's going to stay healthy this year, and he's going to take that team to the number 1 spot. Bills, like I said, at 2. And I agree with you, the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins. I think they have a lot of attractive pieces on offense and defense, but there's just some spots where you look at that team, you're like, ooh. You look at the running game. Really good running backs. Raheem Mostert somehow stayed healthy for most of the season. That's probably not going to happen again. Devon Achane, great running back, but I don't see him staying healthy. So I like what the Dolphins have going on in some spots, but even down to Tua. Like Tua struggles in playoff games. The AFC is going to be back this year. Guys like Joe Burrow are going to be back. Patrick Mahomes has weapons. Like it's just going to be a different structure. So I don't think the Dolphins make it. And then obviously with the Pats, yeah, they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel. I think they're going to be a 3-win football team.
Well, I mean, I'll just say this. Jets win the division. Dolphins 2, Bills 3, Patriots 4. That's how I feel. So Bills will be third in the division. I think they could squeak in. I don't think they'll get 3 teams in. I think the Jets and Dolphins make the playoffs. Bills fall short. Patriots bad. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I had the same list as you, Jeff. I had the Jets winning it, Dolphins coming in second, the Bills in third, and then obviously I think the Pats are going to be terrible. We've talked about that kind of forever. They're going to be a top 3 pick next year. I still just don't believe in the Bills. I do think, obviously, I still think pretty highly of Josh Allen, Boone, but I don't think the Bills are making any noise this season, and who knows what it means for their future. They may get a new head coach, and it may end up helping them in the long run. So
fair. All right, we'll move on. AFC North, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. Boone?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is the easiest division to kind of get the order with. I think number one, the Baltimore Ravens, one of the best teams in football. Even though they keep losing in the playoffs, they're still probably the best team, second best team, third best team in the AFC. So I'm going to go Ravens still win that division. Number two, with Joe Burrow back. Obviously, the defense is questionable. But with Joe Burrow, I don't know what's happening with Jamar Chase. I'm still going to go the Bengals at 2. Number 3, I think this is a team that's the last team in as a wild card, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 9-8. That's going to be their record. And then this is probably the most shocking one. A lot of people think the Browns are going to have a good year, and they're going to have a bounce back with that defense. I think the Cleveland Browns end up being the last team in this division. I do. I don't trust Deshaun Watson at all. And the fact they let I know Joe Flacco's not a franchise guy anymore. You should have kept him as your backup because that man went in and did something different last year. You should have kept him in there working with David Njoku and those guys because David Njoku had a career year with Joe Flacco last year. I don't trust Deshaun Watson at all. I think they finished last in that division.
But when you cook, I'm not going to waste any more breath. I think that all those teams are really good, but I think the team that needs us in order to step up to make a playoff game, it has to be the Cleveland Browns, and I don't think Deshaun Watson's just cut for it anymore. I just think he's done. Worst trade in NFL history, one of them.
I had the same order. I had the same order, but I swapped. I think the Bengals win the division, and I actually took them in a bet to win the division. I think Joe Burrow, obviously, full season of him healthy, full training camp of him. You got Jamar Chase, who finally showed up to practice today. I think those guys are in for a big year. So I'm going Bengals 1, Ravens 2, Browns 3, Steelers 4.
Klotzy?
That's what. Oh, you guys need to lock the fuck in. You guys need to lock in now.
Yeah,
lock in now. What do we got
to
going on
to be fair, Klotz didn't give his 4. I think he said maybe this. Do you have the exact same?
No, I said no. I agreed with all.
No, he said the exact.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were just adding input. Okay, that's fine. I think the Bengals win the division as well. I have the Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers. I have the Steelers not making the playoffs. I think the Steelers experiment with Russell backfires. And I think it's going to be rough for the Steelers. I just think offensively, Arthur Smith won't fix whatever situation he's there to fix. So I'm going to go Bengals win it, Ravens 2, Browns 3, Steelers 4. So that's my ranking. All right, we'll move on. AFC South, Jacksonville, the Jags, Titans, Texans, Colts. I'll just start this off. Very easy. All right, and we don't need to think. Just don't overthink it. I'm going to go Texans 1. Because I just think that team is just absolutely stacked, and CJ Stroud's the truth. I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go with the Jags. So I think Texans, Jags, Colts, Titans.
Klotz, you're next.
Hey, I don't hate the Texans take, but you know what? Every year, there's a team that makes some noise that didn't the year prior. We've heard noise about the Detroit Lions, and then they were legit. I think if you see where there's smoke, a lot of time there's fire. And if you look down in Indianapolis right now, there's a lot of smoke. People might be ignoring it, but pretty soon there's going to be a fire in Indy. I think when you look at that team, I've said it dozens of times, they have pretty much zero weakness across the board. You look at Shane Steichen, he's going to be a guy that's going to be a Coach of the Year candidate at the end of the year. And I just think when you match up them with the Texans, I think they're going to split. I think when you match up a team like the Indianapolis Colts versus Jacksonville Jaguars, the Colts are just going to be physically dominant, and they're going to cause problems. I think the Colts upgraded significantly compared to the Jaguars this year, and I think Anthony Richardson obviously holds all the keys, but he's not in a position where he has to be Anthony Richardson, play like a top 5 overall pick. He just got to play point guard because you have that offensive line. You have Jonathan Taylor, who he's never even taken a snap with, and you have much improved weapons on the outside. So give me the Colts at the first spot. I know it might be shocking. I'm not going to hate you for picking the Texans. Give me the Texans at 2. Give me the Tennessee Titans at 3. And give me the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4. Give me them at 4. Doug Peterson's going to be out of there. I think when you just look at it, Jaguars, I don't think are built to sustain anything. They don't have a lot of depth. They've been guys that have been consistently injured. I think the Titans can squeak their way into 3.
No, that's cute. It's cute.
That felt like one of those parts of that felt like a Stephen A skit to where Stephen A just tried to do everything that's opposite of the people just to have a hot take. That's what that felt like in that division for you, Klotz. Like you were like, I'm just gonna do something. Like
hear me now,
what's gonna happen
me later.
What's gonna happen is you just laid out that whole segment, and then at the end of the season, it's literally just gonna be the Texans, the Jags, the Colts.
Oh, so you're off the Colts take now. You were
I've
on the
been
Colts
off of it.
bandwagon.
I've been off of it.
You're never a lot.
To be
Boone,
fair,
been off
he
of
jumped
it.
off the
I think
bandwagon.
the Colts. I think this is going to be a good division. I'll say this: this division, unlike in years past, this division is now one of the better divisions in football. Like I think you guys know, I'm high on the Titans. I am high on the Colts, not as high as them winning the division. Like I think like to look at this Texans team and say they're not going to win the division is blasphemy, as Stephen A. Smith would say. It's ridiculous to say the Houston Texans aren't going to win this division. That's just being like, I want to go out on a limb here, Klotzy. But the Houston Texans are the third football right now. You making that take about the Colts is essentially like, I expect you then now to pick the Green Bay Packers over the Lions. That's essentially what you did in that division. That's essentially what you just did.
See, that's a narrative.
That's what you just did.
Path. I get on a lot of the narratives you have. I'm shutting that down now.
That's what you just did, though. One of the best teams in football. You're like, they're going to lose their division.
How long have I been saying that I think the Indianapolis Colts can win this division? How long have I been saying
you said you think they can, but like when it comes down to it. When it comes down to
Indianapolis Colts will.
The better football team
I think the Detroit Lions will beat the Green Bay Packers in the division. When it comes down to it,
I take the better football teams. That's why I like the Lions.
Win the division.
I'm just saying.
To be fair, you stood on business, Klotz, a while. He did.
You stand on business, but it's the wrong business to stand on. I'm just saying that now, which is fair. You guys don't mind. I'm going. I'm going Texans. All right, don't make me do it. I'm going Texans. Texans, Jags, Colts, and Titans.
Welcome. Hey, Boone, welcome.
The thing with the Jags is, too, like, I was watching a show the other day, and Tony Khan, who's one of their owners, and I know owners are supposed to boost up teams. I get that. But, like, he was like, I've been with the Jags for 13 years, and this is from top to bottom. And Klotz, like, get your depth thing a little bit. But, like, he was like, from top to bottom, we've never had a roster like this in Jacksonville. Like, this whole roster has filled out. They've brought guys in this offseason. They've made changes. Guys are now healthy. And, like, if you have a healthy Trevor Lawrence with Doug Peterson and that defense now is healthy, they've added pieces to it. I just don't see a world where a Jags team that started 8-2, was it 8-2 last year, Jeff, or 6-2, like, takes a step backwards after they're now healthy and they added pieces, and you're telling me they're going to finish last in that division? There is zero chance that team finishes last in their division. They're going to be fighting for a wild card spot, if not lock one up later in the season. Like they will have one locked up.
Yeah, I actually had the same list as you, Boone. I had Texans, Jags, Colts, Titans. I'm pretty sure that was the same as yours. I don't know if you had the Titans flip-flopped, but
I'll be the one-man army.
What's that?
I'll be the one-man army.
Yeah, and then that's fair. You're standing on it. I mean, you stand on the take for what, like 3 months now, so you've been all about it. So it is what it is. But no, I still do have some concerns for the Jags. I know obviously Trevor Lawrence's health really wraps around that, but I don't know how he's going to do with the pieces that he does have on offense. So I still think that there is a chance that the Colts could possibly take the 2 seed. I'm not too confident with the Jags, but I know for sure the Texans are winning that division.
All right, we'll move on. Last division in the AFC West. Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs.
Oh, you guys ready?
Interesting one.
Number one, let's just agree all here. Kansas City Chiefs, number one, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs. The next order, this is where things get interesting. Los Angeles Chargers, number 2 for me. I think they end up making a wild card. I think the Chargers are a wild card team. I think Justin Herbert with Jim Harbaugh, and you look at, they brought in J.K. Dobbins. I think the only question mark on this football team right now is the receiving core. I think they'll figure it out. With Jim Harbaugh's going to figure it out. He always does. Third spot I have here, I'm actually going to go the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. I think that this is a year where Sean Payton figures it out with this team. I think they finally start to get a little things going. And then the fourth team I have is Las Vegas Raiders. I want to put the Raiders 3. And you know what, guys? Do you want me to be honest with you guys?
Please do it.
Trust circle?
Yeah.
At my notes that I'm looking at right now, I have the Raiders at 3. Live on air, I switched it. I just saw with the Raiders with Pierce now at the helm. I love that guy. Like, he reminds me of Dan Campbell, and I don't want to bet against him. That's why I had them at 3 originally with Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Gardner Minshew.
Christian
Man, I want to
Wilkins.
put them back at. Give me the Raiders at 3. I want the Raiders at 3, and then let's go the Broncos 4.
We can get
I
there,
don't know
Boone.
why. I don't know why I question myself.
You copped out. Boone, I'm glad you did that because just on paper, I would say it's not even a debate at this point. You got a rookie quarterback with Gardner Minshew, who last year came in and almost got the Colts to a playoff game. I'm not saying you can do that with the Raiders, but they got a better shot at making the playoffs than the Denver Broncos. I don't think the Chargers are going to make the wild card game. But I think to your point earlier, the Steelers are going to be getting in. And I think the Steelers and Chargers at the end of the year, the team fighting it. But I think the Steelers find their way in the playoffs. So I got the Chargers too as well. They miss out on the playoffs this year. But after this year, the Chargers are going to be like continuously in the playoffs because Jim just needs one off season. LA, like any wide receiver that's a free agent is going to be wanting to go get paid to go play with Justin Herbert. Defensively, if you're a defensive free agent, you want to go play for Jim Harbaugh. So the Chargers are going to be very good very soon.
Yep, I agree.
I had the same 4 as well. And you could even look into next year's draft, Lucas, of how many good wide receivers are coming out to kind of reload the Chargers offense. But Boone, I'm pulling the receipts. You gave me shit when I had Bo Nix drafted to the Broncos in my mock draft. And you said he's the worst quarterback in this draft. And you said all this shit, how the Broncos are going to be terrible. And now you want to toss him in at 3, Boone.
Wait, I don't
Hey,
think
no,
I
he
said
put him
that.
at 4.
I put him at 4. I don't think I said Bo
okay.
Nix is the worst. I said Bo Nix is going to translate to the NFL because he translates at every level he's ever played at.
You sure about that, Boone?
I think he's trying to sneak
I think that might have been Klotz. I think that was
openly-
Klotz because I said that there was
did
going to be
not
6
like Bo Nix.
quarterbacks
Still
drafted in the
don't.
first round,
okay.
and I said Michael Penix and Bo Nix, and Klotz said that's not going to happen. That would never happen. Bo Nix is trash. He shouldn't go in the first round.
Which is true.
So now Klotz, you would have the wrong guy. You would have the wrong guy.
Boone, it was you. I'm pulling up
You would
the
have the
receipts.
wrong guy.
No, Boone. Boone, I specifically remember we were doing the live mock draft, and I was forced to take Bo Nix at 13, and you gave me so much shit for it.
I might have said he shouldn't go this early, maybe in the 20s, but I was the one that said, I was one of the first ones that said, when we did our bold predictions for the draft, I said this will be the first draft since like the 80s that there's going to be 6 quarterbacks taken. And Klotz said, no, Bo Nix would never get taken that in the first round.
Shouldn't.
I might have said
it's not a big deal. It was between 3 and 4 in the division, so
you can do it.
Yeah, we're fighting over.
Hey,
I had to give you
that's a Klotzy fight. That's you and Klotzy. You and Klotzy figure that one out.
Unc doesn't want the smoke with that one. He knows.
Hey,
big Bo Nix guy. I forgot, Lucas.
Fuck me? No.
Yeah, well, hey, I'll take that now. I like Bo Nix. I liked him when you drafted him, Mike. Remember, when I had to draft him, he would go to the Broncos for me as well. So I'm with you. We baby.
All right, we have to go clip it.
All right, let's.
Hey, buddy, King Tito, I'll yell as loud as I want.
Okay, AFC West: Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. Okay, I think honestly, the Raiders and Broncos will be tied. I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos win more games than the Raiders. I think the Raiders thing this year is interesting. It's just I don't know. I'm curious how that goes. But Chiefs and Chargers 1 and 2. I don't disagree with that. Let's do the AFC or the NFC now. We'll go NFC East. Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Commanders. How do you guys have it lining up at the end of the season?
I think this is actually one of the simpler ones as well. The Eagles are going to win this division. I think the Eagles have the massive bounce back year. I love bringing up the stat. I think it's since 2004. No one in the NFC East has won back to back. It's always been a new division winner. Last year, the Cowboys. This year, it's going to be the Eagles. Number 2, I do have the Dallas Cowboys. If CeeDee Lamb was not playing and he was on a different football team come week 1, I would have pushed them down, but he is there and he is playing. So give me Dallas Cowboys at 2. The third team is the Washington Commanders. I think they surprised some people, 7 or 8 wins. And then the fourth team, the New York Giants, they're probably going to win like 2 games, 3 games this year.
Yeah. Anyone disagree with that list?
I honestly want to put the Commanders at 2 very badly because I just look at what Dallas has got going on defensively, and Dallas relies on their defense, I think, a lot to create plays instead of field position for that offense because they lack a run game. No Dan Quinn. There's a lot of guys that left on the defensive front, and you talk about in that division. I think Washington, as a run game, they're not going to be anything crazy. But when you have Jaden Daniels back there that can do RPOs, there's a lot of things that Washington can do to exploit Dallas defensively when they match up head-to-head. So I'll be the one to say I think the Cowboys could easily pass the Commanders for sure.
Or the Commanders.
The Commanders could pass the Cowboys.
Yeah, Klotz, I agree with you. I just and I'm the biggest Jaden Daniels guy on the show. I think he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. I just think the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb, they're going to win probably 9 or 10 games still, not more than that. But I just and I don't think the Commanders will get over 8.
I think the Cowboys could come second in the division, and they could miss out on the playoffs. Like I think they could be second at like 8 and 9. You know, that's where I'm at with it. So I'm going to go. I have the same list as you, Boone. But I think one team potentially, most likely, makes the playoffs, and that's the Eagles. I think the other 3 teams miss out, but we'll see how bad the NFC is. They could squeak in, but I don't know.
And real quick, I want to throw this out there. If you guys haven't yet, with 250 people on the show, hit the like for us. I don't know how many likes we have. Let's get over 200 likes here. We have 250 people watching. Let's get 200 likes here real quick. Everyone just take 10 seconds, like the stream before we continue. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll move on. Yeah, we all are kind of similar, right? Except you just swapped, right? Mike, what do you think? Similar?
No, I had the same as Boone. That's like 2 in a row now.
I did as well. We'll move on. NFC South: Falcons, Buccaneers, Panthers, Saints.
I'll let you guys go first with this because I have a different.
Let me start it off. I have it exactly how I named it. Falcons win the division. Tampa comes in second. I think they're close and wins. I think Tampa's going to be pretty good this year. I have the Panthers in third. I think the Panthers come in third, and it's not by a lot, but I think they'll squeak by the Saints by like a win or 2. So that's where I'm at.
I like it. I think, honestly, if we're being real, there's a very real shot that Atlanta could be the number 2 seed in the NFC. Like, if everything goes right for them, just how their schedule's laid out, you look at where they improved, specifically at the quarterback spot. Defensively, that's where they kind of lack, but you bring over Raheem Morris. I think they split with Tampa. I think Tampa could still be a 10-11 win team. But, I mean, you look at it, you are arguing that the San Francisco 49ers could be the 1 seed and the LA Rams could be still making the playoffs and everything like that. Like, they're going to be a wild card team. You look at the NFC North, Detroit Lions going to be winning it. Packers are going to be a wild card team. I think the Atlanta Falcons, if everything goes right for them, which I think it's really hard for them not to, considering what they've had to overcome recently, there's a real shot they could be the 2 seed in the NFC when it's all said and done. I don't think a legitimate 2 seed, but just based on their record, I could see Atlanta winning 13 games this year for sure.
Yeah, I had the same as you, Jeff. I just had the Panthers and the Saints swapped. I still think they will both be pretty bad teams. I think there will only be like a game or 2 difference between them. But I think the Saints overall as a team have a better overall team on both sides of the ball. I think obviously there's questions at quarterback with the Saints, and I still think there is questions with Bryce Young and the Panthers. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference of the team, but I think the Saints still probably win 1 to 2 more games than the Panthers.
All right. Boone?
Let me get mine real quick because I love you guys a lot. You guys know I love you guys. I love the chat. I hate when I have to see my friends and people fall for.
Oh, here we go.
The Atlanta Falcons. Listen, I think they're going to be a fine football team. This is one of those teams. I have not just seen this in the NFL. I've seen this in college football. I've seen this in the NBA. I've seen this in college basketball. I've seen this in every single sport, that there are these teams that that they're just average teams. You might have 1 or 2 really good players, average football teams that just throw money around and they try and add and patch things up in their lineups and their teams to go win a football game and to go win a division. 90% of the time will take the team in that division that has been doing it the last couple of years. Majority of that roster has been together for the last few years. And last year they went out there and won the division. And on top of that, they won a playoff game and beat the Eagles as well within the playoffs. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that division with Baker Mayfield there another year. I don't care if you lost your OC. They went in and got the old Rams, one of the Rams coaches that was there with Baker Mayfield, mind you that, and they worked together very, 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 very well. So they're very comfortable with each other. Rashad White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's, like Tristan Wirfs. They added Graham Barton. Like, they've done something. And on the defense, that's still a legit defense. Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea. I'm just reading off the list. Levante David, Jamal Dean, Jordan Whitehead, Antoine Winfield Jr., Yaya Diaby. Like, why are we disrespecting this team like they're just nothing when they are, like, they have a squad and they've been together. They're vets. I'm taking that team, and I'm with you guys. Like, I get the Atlanta hype. I'm just not going to, like, the 13 wins for Atlanta, not happening. They'll have 11. If that.
I'm saying like at their ceiling, but like if you look
Yeah,
at it,
which won't happen.
Atlanta beat Tampa Bay last year. Like they beat them last year, and like you can say
That's-
the same thing. Like
They didn't
Atlanta
win the
has
division.
stars everywhere. Atlanta has stars everywhere, and that's always a team that's been fighting with Tampa Bay, especially in divisional games, to kind of get them out of there, especially when Tom Brady was there. But it's hard for me to ignore a team that was clearly held back by quarterback play, that has pieces, and I don't think they spent their money ignorantly. Like they went and got a legitimate franchise quarterback, at least for this season. And then you got Matthew Judon on the other side of the ball, and they already have a good secondary that's going to flourish. We went over their schedule. Like it's a cakewalk of a schedule. I think 13 they're a playoff team. We didn't bash Tampa like they're nothing. We all said they're a wild card team.
Again, I'm not saying Atlanta's a bad football team. They're going to win 10 games. It's more so that I think this Bucs team across the board, they have been together. They have experience. They're vets. They know how to go into the NFL and win football games. Those are just teams like that. There are teams all the time in the NFL who are just veteran players, and they match up in divisions and wild card games against teams that on paper they're not better than. But guess what? We have vets and we have experience, and you don't. And we're going to beat you head to head. We're going to prepare better than you. The Bucs are going to go out there and win the division again. It's going to be close, and I get the Atlanta hype. I just think Atlanta ends up getting that wild card spot, and the Bucs are one of those top 4 teams that get a home game.
It's fair. Anybody else? I mean, who do we miss?
Oh, I apologize. I had the Bucs, Falcons, third Saints, and then the Panthers. Sorry, I wanted to. My bad.
We'll move on.
Doing that 3 in a row, me and you.
We're locked in.
So we have the NFC North and the NFC West left. So NFC West.
Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers. Where are you guys at with this? Huh?
San Fran, the Rams, Seahawks, and then the Cardinals.
Yeah,
I think the Seahawks, I mean, they had a lot of injuries on their defense last year, even had some on the offensive side of the ball. They keep K9 healthy. They have, obviously, the wide receivers. And I think if their defense is fully healthy, they're still going to make some noise. So they'll at least be number 3. I think Stafford and the Rams still make a run at the wild card. I don't think anyone's obviously knocking the 49ers off this division.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hype about the Rams doing that, but I think when it just comes down to it, I brought up the stat earlier. Brock Purdy has been winning division since he stepped foot in the NFL. Granted, good situation. Matthew Stafford, even when he was in LA, even when he won a Super Bowl, did not win a division. I don't think anything changes this year. So the 49ers, Rams still make the wild card. I think there's a real shot the Seahawks could too. And Arizona is probably going to be like a 6-7 win team as well. It's going to be a tough division, but I'm going Niners, Rams, Seahawks, then Arizona.
What you think, Boone?
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers, Rams. I'm not going to lie. I was looking at the Rams schedule, and I almost put the Rams ahead of the 49ers just based off schedule. And we talked about it yesterday. If the Rams somehow beat the 49ers and go 1-1 with them, and they go out there and win the games they're supposed to, there's a legit chance that because I said the 49ers under. I think they're 11.5. I said take that under. I think they hit 11 games this year, and I think the Rams can go win 11 games. So if you sit there and you're like 11-11, who wins the tiebreaker? There's a potential chance that the Rams could be in that first. That's just kind of my thought process on it. I think they both could be 10-11 win teams, and they will be. So it's like the tiebreaker. So I stuck with the 49ers just based off of what the team, the roster. That's what I did. And then I went San Francisco. I ended up going, I think Arizona, there's a chance this year, guys. We've talked about this before. They take a little bit of a jump. Like you see it in some regimes where it's like year 1, year 2, it struggles. I think maybe this year you add Marvin Harrison, James Conner stays healthy, Kyler Murray's fully back. Last year it was on and off. He didn't start the season. I think now that they have a full off season with these guys and this defense kind of getting a little hang of things. I think this regime's there another year. I think they could go out there and win 6 games. I don't think that's crazy. 6-7 games. And I think you look at the Seahawks. I don't know where to go with the Seahawks team. They digressed last year. I know they brought in McDonald, but I think it's going to be a battle for that last spot in that division.
Hey,
Say the Rams.
I'll tell you what.
Do it.
Watch out
right
for
there.
those Rams. They're going to win that fucking division. I'm telling you right now. They're going to win the NFC West. probably by a game. Because we all agree it's going to be close. I think the Rams sneak it out by a game and they win the division. Okay. 49ers will come in second. I do think Christian McCaffrey, we know how he is and how it goes with Christian. Very good football player, gets injured. I think there's a chance he goes down this year. 49ers drop a couple. Rams, hopefully they can. I mean, they got guys that also have been hurt. Kyron Williams last year. Hopefully those guys stay healthy and they go out and win the NFC West. So I have Rams, 49ers, and then I have Seahawks and Cardinals about the same. I mean, they're about a 6 to 7 win team each. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to go Rams and winning the NFC West.
Bang, bang, boom.
All right, NFC North, last division.
I mean, do we need to waste breath? I feel like we've done this 1,000 times.
Lions winning it. Okay.
Let's see if there's any disagreements in the order. Yeah. So go, Jeff. Yeah.
Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings.
Sounds good.
Check.
I'm with it.
Check.
Okay. Well, there you go.
You sure you don't want the Bears up, Jeff?
Hey,
Bears aren't winning the division. Caleb
Fuck,
Williams
I
MVP, something like that.
no, I'm not Nick Wright. Love Nick Wright, but the Bears in the Super Bowl, a little wild. Actually, not a little. That's absolutely blasphemous. So I'm not going to say that. No, I think the Bears could sneak in the playoffs. They're going to be on that 8-9 win mark where they could make it, could not. So no, we all agree with the same list. But there you have it. Good stuff, fellas. Yeah, you know what? I'm curious to see how the 49ers team this kind of goes for them this year. I am, because I think the Rams will be right there ready to attack. I think we'll see how it goes.
Remember my prediction, the Eagles versus the Lions to get to the Super Bowl. No 49ers.
Yeah.
Hey,
no 49ers.
I want to say this too, real quick. I'm starting to see a lot of Lions predictions in the Super Bowl. Shout out my guy, and Unc, you know him, Stephen Shea at Barstool. He did his prediction today. He had the Jets Lions in the Super Bowl. He had the Lions winning the Super Bowl, and he had Jared Goff winning MVP. Instantly, when I heard this narrative, I texted him and said, "Brother, here we go." Like, we're lockstep. When guys start getting absolute dialed in together, things start happening. You know what I mean? It's that Nicolas Cage meme where he's like, that's what's happening here. And I saw someone else too. There was another person today that I was watching, and they had the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I think on Friday or maybe it's tomorrow. Oh, I think are we doing it tomorrow? Our playoff predictions or Friday?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really done mine, broke it down yet. I'm interested to see who I have. I know it's weird to say, but
we'll see.
I'm interested to see who I have.
yeah. He's like speaking in third person. He's like, I wonder who Booner will have.
I wonder what goes on in my brain.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's good stuff, man.
This comment too, at Crunch Time Sports, I said this as well last week. Injury bug statistics is not in the Niners' favor.
Yeah, they're either going down. They always have that concern.
Jesse Adams mailbag. Here are my division winners: Rams, Eagles, Lions, Atlanta, Bengals, Chiefs, Texans, Jets. What do you think? Second, Booner, who you blowing first, Jim Harbaugh or Josh Allen?
I'll answer that question if Jesse answers who he's blowing first, Jeff Iafrate or Adam Baydoun. Then I'll answer that question.
Oh,
damn. Damn.
Jeff's like, oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know if I want to be involved in that one.
I'm fair. I'm a fair person.
It's all for Adam. Shout out Jesse.
For answer.
Shout out Jesse.
Shout out Jesse.
I do like the division winners. I do like that.
Coach Walk says, mailbag, did you get your pizza, Jeff?
We will.
This
maybe
weekend.
not this week. It won't be this weekend, but it'll be coming up. It'll be coming up. Not this weekend. It won't be this weekend.
I'm owed a pie. Just saying. 2 pies, actually. Not one.
You will get your pies during football season.
All right.
I heard there's some good pizza in Ann Arbor, Boone.
I heard so as well. I did.
Watch out when they're getting their fucking asses.
I'll get you your pizza when I get you your pizza.
38-7
It'll come this season.
Put in Arch Manning.
Hey, Cartier says, Booner coming with pizza rolls. Don't.
Yeah, I'll get you a
Tostinos
Tostinos if you don't stop
Don't sleep.
coming at me.
Not the Tostitos, man. That's I love those. By the way, hey, throw the babies in the oven. Woo!
Whoa.
All right. Hey, you guys have a great rest of your night, and tomorrow we'll be back. Prediction week continues. We'll come out with more predictions. And we're gonna, tomorrow and Friday show gonna be electric, closer to game day. So please tune in. Get your merchandise, officialctsports.com. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Much love to you. And shout out to John Maakaron for joining us every single Wednesday. Until tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Be there. We'll catch you guys.